Hi, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you to all of you for being here. I can't get used to it becoming dark this time of day. I think I have the light just perfect, and then by the time I go live, it's getting dark. I hope everyone's doing well. Hello to you all here. Thanks for being here. As you notice, I have made some new folks mods. So Mary, because Mary, you're here every live. So I hope you don't mind. Rena, who's not here right now, but she's here quite a bit. And Daphne, because Daphne comes in, and I am a mod for her channel as well. So hi. Thanks for being here. Nova, what a sweet voice. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Uh, I've always been told I'm soft-spoken. Hard when you work in geriatrics, though, I'll tell you, because you're dealing with a lot of people who are hard of hearing, and it's not that easy. It's not that easy for them. I'm trying to get more light in here. It's not that easy for them to pick up my voice. Just one second, guys. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more light in here. Mary, were you asking to come up on panel? Is that what you were asking when you said something about a link? There, that's a little better. Thanks, Mary. Is that what you were asking, to come up on panel? I wasn't sure if that's what you were. You said something about send you the link. Yeah, you can come up. Yep. It's kind of nice having somebody up on panel with you, because you can converse back and forth, and it opens up the floor to ideas. Today, I thought what we would do is the last live that I had with Daphne and I, chat became so busy, and, of course, because we had Daphne here, right? And Daphne's awesome. So I thought, this live, we would just focus more on, the chat. Anybody has any questions, like, share your voice, right? So if you have questions or what your thoughts are on this, on the who, when, where, why, and of course, it's, in your opinion, right? In your opinion, speculation, um, and allegedly, right? Because we don't know. We really don't know um, what's going on. Hi, Ginger. Thanks for being here. And then Ginger had sent me a a video, and I thought we'd go over that as well. It's on uh, oh my gosh, now it's not going to come to me. Coercive control. Hi, Holly. Thanks for being here. Uh, yeah, sure, Holly. Yep. Just make sure to hit that like. Make sure to hit that like, everyone. Um, Cheryl Light, thanks for coming in. I'm just saying the ones whose names I didn't put up yet. I usually put in the beginning, I'll put the names up, and that's my way of saying hi to you and acknowledging you by putting your name up. And then more people come in after that. um, yeah, so I thought we'd focus on that today, kind of focus a little more attention on the chat today, since I know you guys had a lot of thoughts the other day, and of course they don't all, Mama G, hi, they don't all get looked at, right? Um, and it was so busy that day. Um, all right. Yeah, so I thought we would do that, let you guys share your thoughts today. Of course, it's always about Lily and Jack, and I know you guys know that. I know that's always where your focus is. And there's a lot that has been going on lately. It's kind of like these little fires here and there in every area. I don't know if you guys heard Kent today. Kent was on, oh goodness. Ginger sent it to me. I can't remember the name of it now. I have watched her before, but now I can't remember it. He was on there all morning, pretty much. And, yeah, I thought he did pretty good. Hi, Guitar Man. I thought he did pretty good. Of course, I don't agree with all of his thoughts, but I thought he did well, very, very well, um, in how he presented himself and as a guest, and how he explained himself and where his thoughts are coming from. I thought he did really well. Um, yeah. So another thing is, I guess this is just a little bit of housekeeping. There's the link, Mary. Hi, Carrie. Um, uh, you watched a little bit of it, Charlie, then? Hi, Charlie, then. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he didn't do too bad. Hi, Nurse Clancy. Yeah, Kenny did a great job today on that channel. Yeah, I thought he did pretty good too, eh? He really did. Like I said, there's things I don't agree with, but we all have I shouldn't say I don't agree with. That is not in my opinion as well, right? But he really expressed himself well today on that show. He, you know, he did it in a very, very, very well-rounded way. Um, Crime, lines, and lies. Right, right. Um, yeah, and the only thing I wish they had a touched on was when they were saying about with Malaya leaving the property. To me, I feel it's always important to note, and I've brought it up here on my channel and have discussed it. The fact that um, prior to her leaving and anything happening at the briefing, and then her going back to the ambulance and then leaving, was the police had already asked her prior to that if she had felt safe there on that property. And that always struck a chord with me because as a nurse, I know. Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm going to turn down my TV.
Yeah. As
There.
the nurse, I know that there's reasons, there's things that make us prompt that question because, that's something we're trained to do, officers are trained to do, teachers are trained to do, and there's a reason why. You just don't willy-nilly do that. And I had always said, like, if my grandson went missing here on my property and I had to call the police to come help us find him and they came and asked me if I felt safe here, I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? They don't just ask everybody that. There's something that prompted them to ask for them to ask her that question. So to me, in my mind, they were already noticing something there. So in the conversation today, I kind of felt like that was missed. I feel like Brooke probably would have had thoughts on that, right? Yeah.
I wondered that too.
You were thinking about that too, yeah.
Well, I was wondering if they had been there before or had CPS flagged them.
Give them a heads up or something. Yeah, because there's something. You just don't ask that. I mean, you just don't. That's not a question that you show up in a missing kids case. At that point, kids wandered off, supposedly, and asked the mother, do you feel safe here? Something prompted them to ask that, right?
Right.
What channel was he on? He's getting raked over the coals by a lot of creators. It's quite horrible. He was on Crime, Time, and Lies. Ginger just said it.
Out of the States.
Yes, it's out of the States. Yeah, that's right. There it is again. Crime, Lines, and Lies. Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna try to focus on answering the chat's questions today because you guys get so ignored the other day. Not ignored. I mean, I know you guys are listening to what we're saying, but I feel bad when I don't get to the chat. And yeah, Ginger, I would like some actual proof of his black eye that Lilly of this black eye that Lilly supposedly had. And I like how you say that, Ginger, supposedly. I always felt with that black eye, I have to be honest with you, because the way Daniel is, that we've become to know him, is that when he says something, it's typically, there's a reason behind it, right? It's almost like a premeditated statement, if you will, because, to me, I had to wonder. And Malaya said she doesn't know anything about a black eye. Now, whether that's truth or not, we don't know. But let's say that is true, right? That Malaya is saying, I don't know what he's talking about. There was no black eye incident. My thoughts were, if something nefarious took place with the kids, did Lily get smashed in that area of her head? And that it's almost like, again, it's like like the cover story, like the same as the shirts, Malaya took my shirts. So if they find them, it was her that planted them. If you find the kids and Lily has a black eye, it was because she got hit with a Tonka truck on Wednesday night, not because I did something to hurt her and put her in that position. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where my thoughts went when he did that, just because of the way that he is.
Right. And they would have had proof, Novah, on one of the videos in the stores, like the dollar store had the children entered that dollar store and the video camera picked them up on it. or when they went to school and the bus had picked them up on the video camera there. Hi,
Exactly.
Sue.
Right?
Right.
My thoughts as well. Like that would have been caught on video cameras somewhere. Cindy would have seen it when she did the FaceTime with them.
And
There's
she
no
would have been obligated to report it then. So if she didn't report it, I can't see how she's um, suing CPS if indeed she is allegedly.
right. Yeah, because she did the FaceTime with them. I think it was around 4:30.
Right.
And Lily supposedly had a black eye by that time. So,
But she never mentioned it in her statements.
yeah, I don't think she said, in fact, she said in her statements there was nothing out of the ordinary. So she obviously didn't have a black eye then. That's why I don't believe that anything happened Wednesday night. Daniel's telling a story, in my opinion, so that when the children are found, whatever is going to be found on Lily's head in that area, he's already come up with that story, same as the shirts, right? He's already come up with that story.
Right. In my opinion, if
In my
there was a
opinion.
if there was a skull fracture, it would be noted
Right.
in an autopsy. Yes.
Yeah. And that's my opinion on that, because nobody else has noted it. You know, if
Right.
Malaya's telling the truth, she didn't see, a bruise there. If Cindy's
agree
telling
with
the
you.
truth that nothing looked unusual, especially the fact of Cindy saying nothing looked unusual, in that video call, then in my opinion, there was no bruise there then. So he's making that story up for a reason. And it's going to be a cover story, in my opinion.
And there was
Yeah.
one thing that I found funny was if you read the statements, it was the statement from Haley, Hayden, and Emily when they took a picture, and Emily took the picture of the piece of the blanket, but there was also two shirts that they noted that were children's shirts. I've never heard anything mentioned about that since then.
The only thing I heard about those shirts was that it had nothing to do with, like, even on it, because they do talk about it on the radio stuff that you can hear from that day.
Right.
They do talk about it, and they say that they're pretty raggedy looking, that they've been
Right.
out there for a long time, and that they didn't think they had anything to do with the situation going on. And that's all I've ever heard, and that's right in the radio. And they even tell the guy with the dogs and that to not bother, come and keep doing what you're doing. And I remember that. That's all I remember on those. Yeah. Is that a fact that that police asked her that? Sorry, Shar, that they asked her what? It's my memory, and I'm sorry. I know I probably said something to prompt that question, but now my memory.
Oh, perhaps is it a fact that they asked her was she safe? Was it mentioned in the
Oh, yes.
transcripts? Yes.
Oh, no, it wasn't in the transcripts
It
that they
was. So
asked
then
her
we don't
that.
know if it's a fact, right?
Right. It was okay, we'll say allegedly because it came from Daniel. It came from
Yeah.
Daniel and Logan. It came from Daniel and Logan because they were like, well, but the thing is, with them, there's truth with lies, right? Or truth with inconsistencies. There is some truth in there. You have
Right.
to kind of be able to go through stuff and through experience, kind of, have a higher speculation in that area that it is the truth, because they're basically accidentally telling on themselves, because what they were doing was trying to make it look bad towards Malaya, saying, well, why would she leave? Because when the police asked her if she felt safe here, she told them yes. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know.
They
there's a
weren't.
lot more to her than meets the eye that we're not, in my opinion, seeing.
Oh, definitely. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you're kind of telling on yourself there, because you're using that to put Malaya down and make her look suspicious, but it's actually suspicious that the cops would ask her that, the police would ask her that. So I do believe that is truth from them, but we'll call it allegedly. Yeah.
There was something strange that I had picked up on too in the Tint Wade audio. Tint stated that somebody down the road, now it was either Justin, maybe somebody knows this, or Brad, um, did horseback riding in competition. And I wondered, how did he know that?
That who did horseback riding?
Either Brad or Justin, and how Tint would know somebody on that road did that.
Oh, Tint said one of them did
Yeah.
horseback?
And he's
Oh,
from Ontario,
really?
so I found that really odd. Yeah, it's back in the audio of Tint and Wade speaking when he was.
I'm just picturing both of those guys and thinking, what? It would definitely have to be Justin, I would think.
Well, I was
Um,
thinking, I was pretty sure he'd said Justin's name, but maybe somebody down there remembers that, or
just
somebody that
looking at
heard it.
yeah, just looking at those two and looking at um there you kind of get an idea of who somebody is by looking at their pictures and stuff. I can't picture Brad doing the horseback riding thing. My son used to horseback ride.
Oh, nice.
Um, but yeah, I should say he was in lessons and that.
I used to
Yeah,
ride, but no lessons. I just went horseback riding. So,
yeah.
yeah,
But that is, yeah, like how would he know that?
I
Like
know. And
what a
I was
weird thing to know.
I was critical thinking over everything because I had taken some courses in critical thinking. So I was like, I'm going to rethink all this stuff and just go back and pick out the parts that made no sense. And then try to put myself in that position and go, well, if you're from Ontario, how do you know that person?
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah, it's a strange thing to know, isn't it, about somebody?
well,
But
yeah, it's how would he
but he
know?
but he has a way of getting information too. Look what he did to Wade,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
right?
Well, at least he got rid of the hornet's nest.
Yeah.
And if he did need somewhere to live, the trailer was available.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my god, I joked about that. He's
Oh, I
living
did
in the
too.
trailer
I did.
now.
Oh, I
I
was
would have made
thinking
it.
she was just ticked at him for
I would
that.
have been too, honestly.
Yeah.
Like if that was my hubby, I would have been like, "Oh my god, can't you keep your mouth shut? How many times have I told you?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Mama G, I think he sometimes makes statements just to stir the pot. Oh, 100%. And cause a commotion to distract from something else that's going on. And I 100% agree,
Oh,
Mama G.
he's
And that's
always
why,
deflecting. Yeah.
yes, and that's why I say you have to be able to pick out of that. And just through my work and experience and stuff, I'm pretty good at picking something out and going, okay, well, I believe that to be factual. And like I said, because when that was stated by him and Logan, they were saying it in a way to put a negative light on Malaya. So that, how strange is that? Like she up and left when she told the police that she didn't feel scared here without even realizing that. Do you not realize what you just said? That the police had to ask her that there's something wrong there, right? So I do believe that to be true. But
Right.
yes, many, many other things I can look at and go, no, that's just total BS, right?
You're
Yeah.
correct. And Lori just said that Tint spoke to Deerwood prior to going to Wade's.
Oh yeah, well, that wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure he would just love to anybody that would ask him to speak, right? He would just love it. Hi, Roots. Oh, good, good. Polar hi. Hi all. I question if Daniel Martel really did it. Why is he not more nervous? I wonder how typical his self-confidence is. Thoughts? Well, in my opinion, I think he probably has good high self-confidence, being that I feel that he's narcissistic. However, I find lately he's coming off a bit more nervous
Well,
myself.
at the
That's my
vigil, you
opinion.
noticed that in him, in my opinion. You could see that on his face, that things were hitting him.
And in his last interview, well, the one where he was standing by the bench with her,
Right.
I saw a difference in him there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrie, I
Well,
have
yeah,
to. Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Carrie, I have to say the question is often asked from law enforcement and victim services. Do you feel safe? Exactly, Carrie. Exactly. And that's why I picked right up on that, right? Because, and I
I've
do believe
often
that they
wondered,
asked it.
I've often wondered why they don't take the victim or the perceived victim away from there and ask them that question. Because if they ask them in front of the person, it's unlikely that they're going to answer it honestly.
Mm,
And they should
yeah.
be removing them in the school system. Like, I remember working in Ontario, we had kids come in that were with a certain agency that took the mothers and the children away when they weren't safe, and they
Yeah.
were there under a different name, and we didn't have a whole bunch of information on them. They just pop into class one day, and they could be there 2 weeks before they moved them again. And that was with where the
Yeah.
restraining orders weren't working, and this was the last ditch effort to keep these people safe.
Exactly.
So
And
I
the
don't know
thing
why more
is,
wasn't done.
well, and the thing is, you can't force it. I mean, that day when they had asked her about feeling safe, you just can initiate things in that way and try to do a little bit of education. And I mean, look at the situation going on there as well, right? Like they're trying not to totally uh, have herself block herself from them because they need to get information from her as well, but also having concern for her and the baby's safety. And so you have them prompting that question. And then you have the sister also having a conversation with her, Haley, saying, look at the situation here. You can leave and be in a much better position and be around love, and, the conversation she had with her. And then you had her mother having a conversation with her in the back of the ambulance. And then finally, and I always said, the light bulb went on, right? Finally, is how I always felt, is how I felt, is how I took all that. Now, I could be totally wrong.
But
But
no, nothing after that. I mean, she's right back into the same game again.
sounds like it,
And
doesn't it?
that's a horrible way to be. And
Yeah.
if she wanted, in my opinion, to get back her daughter, she would not behave in such a fashion.
Yeah. And I mean,
However, I know it's mental illness, and I'm going to
right,
say borderline personality disorder because I've been around it, and
right.
I've been there and seen what happens. They don't care about their kids, or they just don't seem to have that care about, like, they don't have that emotion
Yeah. Now,
to
one
care.
thing Ginger pointed out, and Ginger used to, or maybe still does, but did used to for sure, work with victims in a center. And one of the things that she said was part of the process with women was, and I hope I explained this right, Ginger, about having a male presence when you do, like, you have to start to learn to live life again, right?
Right. Right.
And she said one of the things that they did encourage them to do was use the beach to start with that, for thinking and walking and spending time at the beach, which I thought was interesting. And then the social, and then from there move into the social life part of it, and to always have a male presence with you. So I thought that was interesting because that is not something I knew, but she worked with victims and, is familiar with this, part of the process.
I
So
just
that was
wonder if that
interesting.
would be effective, though, Nova, and having somebody that had been abused. How do they pick a male to go to the beach with that's going to be suitable? And don't you think
Well,
it would be
no,
better to
I
be
don't.
sitting in a group?
I don't think it was the beach. It's when you move on to that next stage of going out more and because the beach is a bit more of a private setting. But
Oh,
when you
okay.
move into the next stage of going out in public, in a more social atmosphere type thing,
Right.
to have a male figure who you know and trust, like, as to make you feel protected. And I guess I understand that in a way too, because it helps you to trust that male figure again too. Like, you know what I mean? To build that.
I get what you're saying, but I
Yeah.
just don't think their mindset is in the place to pick the correct male figure to go out with them.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know,
I
but
would
my
think they
point
needed
my
counseling,
point yeah, well, I would hope that she is,
a hell of a
but
lot of
my
it.
yeah, so yeah. But my point is that what some people are seeing might not be what they think they're seeing. Is like, if that's part of, like, if she is in some type of counseling for abuse or control or whatever, right?
Right.
So we'll move on to the next question. Lori says, where is all the black eye pics coming from? I would say it looks like dark circles under the eyes. Some of them do, Lori, I agree, but there has been a couple that I looked at that I thought, gosh, that does look like a bruise.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah,
Lack of
I've seen
sleep
this
can
as
do
well.
that. Exactly, Lori. Lack of
Yes.
sleep and not the greatest diet. I suffer from the same, and many a time people have asked what happens. Yeah. Well, like, because of my issue on my left side, my left eye droops slightly, and when I'm tired, of course, or not feeling well, it's worse, and I look like I have a black eye. Like, I've literally had people come up to me and go, "Oh my god, what happened to your eye?" And it's just that it droops some, and when you have an eye that droops, it can make it look like there's a black eye there, but
Right.
I mean, kids shouldn't be looking lack of sleep and malnourished and that look in
They-
their face and
And they
around their
shouldn't be
eyes,
falling asleep
unless
on
they're
the bus.
sick. Yeah, yeah, unless they're
And
sick.
and the school noticed things, and they did their best going
Yeah.
through social
It,
services and stuff. But there's
yeah.
only so much they can do,
Yep, that's right.
and that's disheartening.
It is disheartening. Yeah. But I guess I was kind of upset because I thought, why didn't they continue with them? Education, 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 and follow up and follow up. But I guess they were coming back, and I forgot about that. I did hear that way. There's so much information. I did hear that way back whenever, and then it was mentioned again today on the show that Kent was on, and I was listening to it, and I was like, oh, I do remember that they were supposed to come back. So I guess they were doing some follow ups there, and hopefully would have maybe started some education with them. Rena girl, you're not going to get a skull fracture from the Tonka truck. Exactly,
Well,
exactly.
unless you were
But
hit with it.
yeah, but yeah, but
Right? Well,
yeah, by an individual. But
yeah.
yeah, I agree, Rena girl. But I feel like, when the bell goes off, that, oh my God, wait a minute, she might have a fracture there, so I better cover that one up by saying she got hit by a Tonka truck while we are at Patty's. you know,
Yeah.
that's just where my mind goes, and that's in my opinion and total speculation. Yeah, I hope you like your wrench too, by the way.
And in my opinion, because in Ontario schools, CPS would go to the school, speak to the school, and they could take those children right out of class and put
Yeah,
them in a safe environment and then go talk to the parents. I don't
right.
understand how Nova Scotia's doing it.
Well, I think they probably, every province is different, but I imagine they are able to do that in certain situations. But I do have a feeling that maybe things are a little lackadaisy around here. I don't think they will be after this, whether they made any type of mistakes or not. I think just the fact of this case in itself is going to make them be taking a hard look at everything. Um, I mean, education to me is big. Education and follow up.
Right. It should
Um,
start in kindergarten, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Well, but
And
I mean, like when there
yeah,
is a report,
yeah.
even, to go in and you think, okay, well, there's adequate food, there's adequate that, but there's still something going on there. So do a very thorough and uh, uh, interview or whatever you want to call it. And and I guess that's in mine because I'm a nurse, because that's big with us too, right? Is education, especially when you're doing home care. Um, and continue with that. Like, don't just
Correct.
go there and go, yep, and check off all the boxes and then walk away.
And the funny thing
Um,
is, there was holes in the floor, and they left them there. They left those children in that house. And
yeah,
I know some people live in clutter. I get it, and they can. And I don't, but some people do live in clutter, and that's fine. But you're talking about safety hazards.
yeah.
Like, you even looked
It's
on that back deck, and it was a disaster waiting to happen. That stove could have toppled over on a child.
right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much education just by looking at that picture alone, right?
Correct.
And I mean, it's the compilation of everything. It's that the mess of the home, the mess of the property, the floor, the mice, the black eyes at school,
Yeah.
the behavior, this
The
falling
lock on the
asleep,
fridge door, the
the
lock
lock
on
on
the
the
outside of the bedroom doors.
yeah, like the everything together tells a story, right?
It
That is nothing
does.
to
It
walk away
does.
from
And
for
does social
CPS.
services in Nova Scotia go into a home with a police officer?
I don't know. I imagine some
Mm.
situations they may have to. I've never had to deal with the children's side of it. I've had to deal with the adult services as
Sure.
because of
Sure.
the type of care I've done. I've only
Right.
ever
Right.
cared for two
Yeah.
children out in the community. It was very rare we ever had children. But
But
it would be adult, and there were times, yes, that we would want, that would happen. I don't want to go too far into all that because then
oh,
there's so
I
much
get that.
privacy around it all. But and you never want to
Yeah.
accidentally say something. But
Yeah.
my experience with children is minimal. Um, Joyous, we really don't know the last time the teachers reported anything. True, true. Who's Emily? Emily is the brother's wife, is it?
Hayden's girlfriend.
Hayden's girlfriend. Okay, I didn't know if they were
Hayden's
married or
girlfriend.
not.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm common law, however.
you don't hear her name being mentioned a lot, but she was there as well in that group. Yeah,
She
that
was
was
the one who
searching.
took the picture of the blanket, and they
Lori,
brought
there
the
were,
picture back.
yes, that's right. Yep, the picture. Yep. Of the blanket, yeah. Lori, there were socks found as well. You're right. Yeah.
So that would all be forensically tested, and they would know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they would have thrown any of that away, whether they thought it was involved or not, right?
No. No.
And not only that, there could be something else more going on that the public's not aware of that doesn't just involve Jack and Lily, right? So, I mean, if
Right.
you're finding kids' clothes and socks and stuff out there and it doesn't belong to Lily and Jack, well, who does it belong to? And is it related to this, right? Because
Right.
there was also C. Wood, who was part of the group that had went out and searched prior to
That's right.
they went out and searched twice before the fire ban had taken place, and they had found some strange stuff. And one of the things that was found was a look like, where you would have like a fire if you're camping, or just, I guess, you could have out in your backyard or whatever. But it had men's underwear, a child's toy, and a bottle of water in it that didn't completely burn, that they could tell what it was, which is very strange. Like, there's some strange stuff that's
Yeah, you think of
found.
a child's ring. I don't know if you're
Uh-huh.
allowed to say the other word in there, right? So,
No, no, we got what you're getting at. We're picking
and
up what you're laying down.
and like Sue just asked on there, why didn't Malaya call her dad? I don't know, because apparently
Yeah,
he's a tracker, and I know Malaya's cousin
yeah,
from Alberta.
yeah.
So I don't know.
The only thing I can think of is the relationship, maybe.
Right.
I don't
Oh, I
know.
know there was issues there for sure,
Yeah,
but you
yeah,
kind of put your issues aside when your children are missing.
yeah. But I mean, maybe too, when your children are missing, you're thinking of them first and not your dad. Like, it can go both ways, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, just depends on what the situation is, right?
I
But
haven't
I
been able to
guess,
give her the benefit of the doubt lately from everything she just
oh,
isn't certain.
I
And,
agree.
if she had at least gone out once or gone out and said, I can't do this, and at least that was known and people would say, okay, that's understandable. But be out partying and have a new boyfriend, and apparently he does rugs too, that's just an unhealthy situation. And you don't
Yeah.
seem like you're getting where you should be in life.
And that's all allegedly, right? That's
Right.
all
It's all
rumors
allegedly.
and allegedly, but
Yeah.
I will say Justin says he's confirmed it and Sunny has said she's confirmed it, and usually
Right.
those two, when they confirm something, they make
Oh, they have
sure,
their
like,
sources.
yeah,
Yes.
like they don't just willy-nilly put stuff out there.
Right. Right.
So, I listen to what they say and go, "Oh, okay, there might be something to this, because if these guys are saying they've confirmed it, then it's more than meets the eye, most likely." Hi,
Right.
Denise. Sounds like cover story, especially with Jack having multiple black eyes. Sounds like he's trying to give reasons for what might be found when they find Jack and Lily. Exactly, Denise. That's where my thoughts went. Suzanne. Hi,
I.
Suzanne.
Yeah. It doesn't sound good.
No. I think Malaya, how she denies DV reminds me of my mom's best friend who also was a victim of DV. She would often make excuses. Exactly. And that takes a long time to get over that. Like it really, truly does. Sometimes years. Like it's not just something when you make that decision, I'm walking away from this. It still takes time
Yeah.
to admit it and confront it. Yes, I heard Logan say, yeah, yeah. Logan said that too. If Malaya was afraid to be on the property,
I don't have that one yet. If Malay was afraid to be on the property.
either she didn't get to finish her question or she was answering somebody else. I was saying it can cause that. Mama G, oh, okay. Suzanne, also weirdly enough, when I was a child, we lived in a single wide mobile home, and CPS came to our house a few times and asked the children if we were okay, and of course we said we were. Exactly. Even though, yep, exactly, Suzanne, and that's typically what happens, right,
And
with
and
women and the children. Yeah.
and Nova, when you were speaking the last time I was on, you said you went through hell
Mm-hmm.
and back as a child. Did CPS ever come? Or can I ask you that?
I do remember a visit from people.
Okay.
And see, I was the one in the family that it, my mouth was hard to control
No,
compared to
that's
the
me.
compared to
That's
my
why they called me
siblings.
scary. Because I just
So
didn't put up with it.
right. So if
Right.
somebody was going to say something, and
Yeah.
mind you, when my sister got older, she as well was like that, but she was just still little then. I was older.
Um,
And so from what I recall, I was made to stay in a room, but I could hear somebody out there asking questions.
wow.
And then that was it. I remember being asked questions at school.
Right.
And I remember being told if I was asked questions that
Oh,
you're
I'm so
not,
grateful you survived that.
yeah, so you're not to
Really.
say anything,
Yeah.
right? Because they'll take you away. They'll take
Oh,
you
yeah.
away from us. And so and it was, they'll take you away and you'll never see your siblings again.
Yeah, that was a
So
good one.
it was
Yes.
made sure to say that because
Yeah.
it was known that you didn't give a shit if you were going to see them or not again, of course. So it was said you would never see your siblings again because you didn't want that to happen,
True.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, yes, I do remember that. And honestly, having that put in my head, that would have worked. So if I had ever been asked, and when I was asked at school, that stuck with me. That I can remember actually it coming back into my head, thinking, "Oh my God, if I say anything, I won't see my my sisters and my brother again." And it
Wow.
did make me keep my mouth shut. Yeah,
Wow. That's a lot.
yeah,
That's a lot as a child to have to endure. And then you became a nurse, which to me is amazing because to be able to stabilize yourself enough in school to get your education properly.
yeah. And it was a
And
lot of
then,
self education once I
sure.
realized, and it's when you have your children usually that happens.
Right.
Like I have my kids, and then you have that protective instinct, and nobody's ever going to hurt them, and that those feelings you have as a mom, and then that's when I started realizing, holy crap, like that stuff I went through was not normal. Like I already knew it wasn't good, but then I really became aware of how bad it was, and then I did a lot of self educating and to I didn't want to pass that cycle on, right?
Yeah. A lot of people do. So,
Right.
yeah. I walked
Um,
away from crime. I walked away from criminal. Like I just couldn't do
yeah.
that. I didn't want that in my life, and I didn't keep my kids around it.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
didn't see the rest of the step siblings, half siblings. I guess we all had the same mother. So
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, 8 of us. So
Yeah. And this is Mary, everyone. Because I know I'm way behind in the chat. So anybody new coming in, this is Mary. Um
hey, everybody.
yeah. And Mary's pretty much here every live. I'd say you are here every live.
Well,
As well
I
as
like watching. I like listening to you, and I try to get
thank you.
everything I have to get done ahead of time. And if I'm going to write,
Oh,
then I write later on, right? So
yeah.
yeah,
And Ginger's here pretty much every live. Yeah. Suzanne, we were being abused because we knew if we said we were being abused and they left us there, we would have been abused more. Yeah, exactly.
right, right.
Yeah,
I agree with her.
I know exactly
Yeah.
how it goes. I'm gonna have to skip down some guys. I know a lot of it's you guys chatting together, which is great.
Yes,
Um,
emotional abuse causes impaired function. So does physical. Like it's scarring the people for life, right? There's
yeah,
traumas come back, and it can even come back out as you end up with a back after a bad back, and you don't know why you have that bad back, and it may not
yeah,
even be your back. It's just an emotional issue and
exactly.
triggers. Yeah,
Yeah. It's that constant living in fear. And, they say the fight or flight, you're constantly in that, in that mode.
right.
And it causes such tension that remains in your body and
Yes.
creates pain. And yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the other thing is, and in my opinion, I can't imagine what it would have been like to have been raised by Janie and Earl. Like, I don't like that is just a freak
there's
show that I would not want to be involved in.
there's part of me that really feels for Daniel
Yeah,
because and his brother, you know? And I mean, and that's there's many reasons why I feel the need to do this. And one of those reasons is, and I spoke about it in early videos, all the different reasons. And one of them is what causes a person in their head to do the things they do. And if something nefarious took place here and Daniel had any part in it, where did this start? Like, where does that go wrong what goes wrong in your head to do something to two sweet, precious, innocent children, if that is what happened?
Right.
Yes, Deanna, that's right. Tint did say that about Cindy. I do remember that. I don't remember him saying it about Justin, but I do remember him saying it about.
Hi, Daphne, and hi, Charmaine, because they're on the screen. I just read that
Oh,
for
are
us.
they? I'm getting
Yes.
there, guys. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Most of that family side on her father's side does horseback riding.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
her cousin that's here does it. She's quite good at it. So
yeah, yeah. I think Lily and Jack got into some bad drugs. No one was watching them Thursday night, and they wanted to cover it all up.
in your
I
opinion, yes.
Yep, she's saying she got it at
Good,
the
good,
end.
good, good.
I also think Justin, his brother, was there and helped, and then she has, in my opinion. And you know, we just don't know, do we? We really don't. And it is a possibility. If there were rugs in that house, obviously it's a possibility. Supposedly, Malaya made a statement to the RCMP that she felt safe there.
I read that as well.
Oh, in the documents.
In the documents, it is stated that, yes.
Yeah, okay. So they did ask her then. So there you go. So it was
They
in the
did ask her in the
documents.
documents.
So
It was in the
yeah. So
documents. I
that
read
is
that.
true. Yeah. So that is true then. So when Daniel and Logan said that, that is fact. And I believed it was fact. Why was Tint here and why did he get involved? Then done a runner.
Then
then
left, yeah.
then
Yeah.
done gone. Don't know, Lori.
He was
Don't
between
know.
jobs,
Yeah, he
is
explained
what
it,
he
and
said, and
he had
that
the money.
I know. I still found there was something there that we're not getting.
Hi, Chris. Chris Vicious. Suzanne, many rural, and I agree. To me, there's still something there with Tint. Suzanne, many rural women don't recognize abuse unless it has left broken bones, right, and bruises. Yelling and screaming and hitting and making threats is normalized in many rural areas, sadly, and I agree. And not just in rural areas, but yes, it seems to old habits die harder here for sure. Yeah. I don't think
And
Daniel liked what the warden had to say, in my opinion. Probably not. Probably not. Or maybe he did. He could take it the other way. See, he even says they're not in the woods. Malay and her family have them, or they're on the reservation.
yeah, it's hard to tell with him. Charmaine just said that the bag of garbage from the Black House is now on the porch. That's odd.
Oh,
That's
really?
odd because
I'm gonna.
somebody said, well, if it's on the ground, it is true. If it's out at the road, it's fair
That's right.
game. Even the police can pick in it. Yet they never went by and did it.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm so far behind in the comments. It took me forever to get to the bottom, but I'm going to the bottom because you guys are way ahead of me now. Hi Holly, you're back. uh
Oh, so today would be garbage day. So they're not sure why it was moved back up onto the porch.
well, I was thinking that too because I thought about it last night.
Somebody
And
should
I
just,
know
in my opinion, dress as a raccoon and go drag the bag to the road again.
well, you never know. Maybe tomorrow somebody's going to do that.
Yeah.
Hello, Mrs. L. Anybody else that come into the room as well? And hello, Daphne and Charmaine. Why can't I see Charmaine? There she is. Okay. Hi, Charmaine. Roots, what day was that? 30-ish?
Oh,
Today is
30-ish.
garbage day. Yeah. So not sure why it would be moved. Yeah. Unless garbage truck decided not to take it for some
But the
reason,
garbage
which
truck
I can't
wouldn't
see
put it up
why.
there. They just put a
No,
sticker up.
no, but a person would have to take it back,
Right.
right?
Right.
Away from the
Right.
curb.
Right.
Yeah. Hi,
Because the garbage
shenanigans.
in in Nova Scotia is one of the better systems I've seen across Canada, and
Oh
I've lived
my
right across it.
God, it is
Serious.
annoying. It's
I
annoying. It's like a full-time job in your
it's
home.
I used to freeze all this stuff, like, if you had something in the fridge that was bad, I'd freeze it, and then on garbage day it would go out and compacted because of the wildlife, right?
Look at Daphne saying, "No, I'm literally looking into that right now. Great minds think alike." And I do find that, and the thing is, I feel like people think that we're all copying each other, and we're not. It's just where this case leads you, and
It
as the
does.
information comes out, and then you go down that path. So then you'll see me hit on something, and Daphne hit on something, and Justin and Charmaine and Sunny, and we're all hitting on the same thing. And it's just because, we were led down that path with all the information, right, that comes out.
Right. And Alien Henry, I am not dressing as a raccoon and going on the property. I'm not down there, but if somebody can do that, I would say kudos on you.
Yeah, well, you never know. That just might happen. Specifically regarding intimate partner violence, a woman in Canada is red-rummed by her current or former partner on average once every 6 days.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
In the
I had
States, though, it's probably 6 per day.
within the
Because,
States, no offense, but in the States they do have guns. The women can shoot back. Right.
yeah, and yes, and there's a difference in the population. There's
And
so
considering you used to spend all your time in the sand pit there,
yeah,
you'd
yeah.
be able to do it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm going to work. I'm going to work on a doc with all our players here and put
Good.
down all their transcripts. Just have to find the time. Yeah. Well, God love you for everything you do, Daphne.
It's doing a great
As a
job. And
local,
Charmaine.
yes, and Charmaine and Justin and Sunny. As a
Yes.
local, I am so thankful. You have no idea. I truly am.
Yeah. Got to
Daphne, I
keep it out
believe
there.
yes. Daphne, I believe law enforcement wrote the wrong name on the road. Oh, they did. They did. Yeah. Yeah, it was, and I can see how that can happen. And those roads are almost an extension. Like they're one road, they're almost across from each other. Yeah.
And there's probably logging roads within that area, correct?
Oh
That they could take.
gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Yes.
everything out there.
Yes.
So Daphne, coincidentally, on your video the other night, when you had shown the house on Matheson Road, remember I told you I had family that lived out there and I was out there. I mean, I was out there 2-3 times a week. Spent nights out there. The gravel pit is just down from that house that you showed, and that is the house where my relative lived. And on that whole road, he was married to the Matheson. And on that road, it's all Mathesons up, like from that house up towards the other side into White Hill. That road takes you to. The roads are so long out there, like they just stretch beyond these dirt roads. And so I knew everybody. I say knew because I doubt that they're all alive out there still. It's probably their grandkids living in those houses now. Um, but yeah, and the gravel pit is just down the road from that house.
Right.
Before you get to the house, not as you continue on up that road. And that I was talking about, where I would go hunting with my ex-husband and hang out in the gravel pit, literally. Yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, there's so and so's house that lived there eons ago. Coinkadinkly. Hi,
And they also
Bobby.
they say that in the statements too that I'm reading, like people are writing on the screen, but it was also stated by, I believe it was Daniel, so allegedly, in my opinion, he said that they didn't know that Janie was there that morning.
Yes, yeah, that they didn't expect her to be there. Yeah. Daphne, that was so long ago. There was no such thing as having cameras on your house back then unless you were rich
Yeah.
or a business. Nobody would have had a camera on their house back then.
Yeah.
But you know, who knows that people out there do now.
I mean, trail cams they have, but
Out that way, a lot of people have the trail cams, right? Because they hunt and they're tracking the deer and checking for coyotes and bears and um, but
they can still set their cameras. Like I've got 3 here on our house in Alberta, and I can
yeah.
set the trigger time on them. And my neighbor doesn't want to wake us in the morning when he leaves at 4:30 because the camera will go off at the back, and so he flies past there at a trigger time that doesn't set it off. So it can occur that it won't be set off, but I will catch him as
Oh,
he turns
that's
the corner on the front camera, not the side camera, because he's zipping up so fast.
That's
So,
100%. So listen, I'm going to tell you guys a story. So I mentioned last week about how tired I was because our neighbor wasn't well
right.
and there was an issue going on there. Anyways, I won't say his name or anything because that wouldn't be right to do. But hi, Jenny. Thanks for being here. I don't want to miss the comments. I know the searchers haven't found any evidence that they went into the woods, but I think Jack eloped and Lily was sent to go find him. There's a thought. Jenny, they still should have looked if what they're saying is true. As soon as Malay seen Janie, she didn't ask yet, but she seen the kids. She told her they were missing. I agree, Jenny. When your children are missing, you're going to look everywhere, especially on the property. First in the house, you look everywhere, under the beds, in the closets. You just do because your mind, first of all, you don't want to admit that they're gone and could be lost, and so you're hoping, oh my god, I hope they're under the bed, I hope they're in the closet, because I know I went through this with my son when he get out. And then outside, of course, you're going to check any outbuilding on the property as well, which would include Janie's RV, but I agree. Anyways, so yeah, I had mentioned about my neighbor. So our neighbor wasn't well. He kept calling my husband over, and in between calling my husband over, he was calling the police to his house. And he was saying he was seeing people in his house, and he was hearing sounds, all this suspicious stuff was going on, right? And he was scared. And so through the night, he was calling us, and my husband, would wake me up, and then I would wake my husband up and say, you have to go check on him, he's calling you again. And my husband would go over and come back and say he thought he seen 2 people sitting in a chair. He thought he seen a false wall on his property, but it was just the reflection of his kitchen wall in the window. And so it was, stuff like very unusual. Like we've never dealt with this before with this neighbor. And
like a
then,
sundown syndrome, right? Where they get it at night.
well, he's not that old, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he, so this went on for like 2 days. And then the next night, he, same thing again. We had in between my husband being there, then you'd look out and the police would be there. And then the police would come to our door and say, he said you saw this and that. And my husband would be like, no, I never said that. I don't know what he's talking about. And he came and said, he said you have a camera on your front door and that you caught 3 guys in the yard over there with hoodies last night. My husband's like, no, never happened. And then the next day he called him over again, and the police were there. The police would be there like 5-6 times a day, and then when they weren't there, it would be my husband over there because he'd be calling. And then he called. He told my husband that there was people in our yard with hoodies on, and that they were wiring our home and all this stuff. Anyways, this went on and on and on, and then the last night. Because I worked in mental health, I said to my husband, I said, oh my gosh, I hope to God tonight he's not going to be out in the neighborhood naked, running around screaming, help, help. Oh just God. Because of what I'm used to. Anyways, 12 o'clock came. We were sleeping. I heard a bang, bang, bang on the door. It was the police again. And anyways, then we got back to sleep around 2 in the morning. And then 4 o'clock came, and then I heard this yelling. It woke me up, and sure enough, it was him outside running in the neighborhood, screaming and yelling and saying, help, call 911. And he was running so fast. My point to the story is the camera didn't catch him. Now, his house is directly across from us. You catch everything. He came out so fast and was running so fast that
the trigger times on the cameras.
It did not pick it up. And and another thing, the cops, one of the last conversations they had with my husband was, they said, do you know if he has a history of doing math?
Yeah.
Because this was similar to that behavior that they've seen.
Yeah.
Which I thought, oh my gosh, people get that bad on that or go into such a bad psychosis.
Well, read up on the case out of Barrie, Ontario, about the homeless guy in a tent with his 2 tent buddies, and he turned into a cannibal, and they are both dead.
Yes, and I've heard those incidences too.
Yes.
We'll go up and look at Ginger. On average, less than 1 child dies each day from domestic or family violence in Canada. So sad. We're going to go look at that video next, Ginger. So go ahead, Mary.
And Henry asked us, do we know about Daniel's vehicle disappearing?
Oh, yeah, I got that up. Yeah. Henry, when this all first started, more towards the beginning, I had heard, yes, that there was a vehicle that had been, I can't remember how it was worded, because I thought that the rumor was meaning that the police had taken it. But yes, I did hear that there was a vehicle that was gone. And I thought people were trying to say that the police had confiscated a vehicle from out there. So yes, I did hear that. Yes. And
but we don't know if they took the vehicles and did forensics on them. There's no mention of that anywhere, and they don't have to tell us either.
No, but that's what I thought people were talking about, is what I'm saying. But then I found out that this vehicle, this Kia, whatever it is gone. And now I'm finding out that's what people were talking about. Not that the police had come and taken a vehicle. Right. Was that a vehicle literally disappeared? That was...
I was thinking about that too. 2 things about that, Nova and Henry. One thing is, had he taken a vehicle off the road, he would have canceled insurance, if indeed he had insurance. So that would be traceable. Not. Well, yeah, that would have been traceable by the police. If he took it to an auto wrecker and they were reputable, they would have had to have registered it, given him so much cash for it, and the VIN number would have been taken from it. So there would have been 2 places they could have looked for it. So if it's not in 2 legitimate places, it has to be someplace nefarious down there where they take the vehicles and dispose of them if no questions asked.
Yeah.
Or it's burnt out.
Or it was burnt out. Yeah. And there were some vehicles burnt out around that time. I remember hearing about it. Hi, Wolfie. And who else there? Christina, hi.
So you haven't taken a drive out there yet with your hubby, have you?
I have not. Mm-hmm. A different Lori. Hi, Lori. Lori Lynn. I am trained and certified as an abuse awareness and response advocate. Very good, Chris Vicious. And I see the red flags 100%. Yes, definitely. I agree wholeheartedly. Have the docs been verified by the RCMP? Which docs? Vesica and hi, thanks for being here. Or maybe that's something you guys are talking about in the chat. Yeah. Jenny, another good point. If 2 of your children are missing and you're yelling out to them, and the grandmother is in the trailer where she can hear there's the difference, yes. You would be yelling louder? Yes. Yep. It would be a whole different type of yell. Absolutely. It should be, anyways. It should be, because you shouldn't be talking to your children like that in that type of voice all the time, right? Ginger, I have to look that up on my phone because I cannot remember the name of her.
And Jenny just said she believes that they all know what happened. And in my opinion, I agree with her. Like,
yeah.
somebody is covering for somebody. And,
Yeah, sorry, you go ahead,
Malaya's
Mary.
away. Malaya's away from that situation now. And she should do right by her children.
Yeah.
Whether they are gone or still alive, she should do right by her children first and foremost. Because, these are children.
And she has one left.
And do you want that child back? Because
right?
Are they going to give the child back to her until they know?
Yeah.
You want to put that child at risk. If you want your child back, you're going to move heaven and earth to fix it.
Podcast is a little different. It's from.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree. And she has a child left. One child left that she has to remember, think about. Oh, Tammy, why can't I find that?
And if you had a situation like it had occurred there, allegedly, I'm going to say, in my opinion, in the morning, had they realized those children were missing because they had not gotten out of bed, then when they did get out of bed and go to look for them, why wouldn't Malaya jump in the vehicle with the baby and go neighbor to neighbor and Daniel run through the bush? Even though I don't believe that children could get through that bush, knowing Nova Scotia bush like I do.
Right. And and that's another thing that I had often wondered too, why no checking with the neighbors.
Right. No checking with the neighbors. Why wouldn't you? That's the first thing you do.
Yeah, because when a child sees a house, they're, we've all been children, right? You wander off to the home and see do they have kids? Can I play with anybody here?
Well, they would come home on the bus. If you looked at it in the fashion that these children would sit on the bus, they would go to school, so they would know the pattern going to school, but they would also know the pattern coming from school, so they'd know which children got off the bus before them, which parents got on to undo seatbelts if there was a reason for undoing the seatbelt. And so they would have known some of those kids that got off the bus prior to them, so they would have known those stops. Had those children walked to the road, which in my opinion, I do not believe they did, they would have known, if I go this way, this is the way we come home from school on the bus, and that's where so-and-so lives.
Yeah.
And yet they never went to any of those houses to see if those children had seen them, because Malaya had never gone to the school, it was stated, for even one interview or a meet and greet like every school has with the parents.
Yeah.
So that says a lot.
Charmaine has a question there, and while you answer that, I'll look for the video because I can't.
I don't have it on the phone.
What?
Oh yes, 2 large men. Well, I don't want to say the names. But
and hi Weasel Diesel or Diesel Weasel, and who was the other person that came in that I saw there? Carrie. Hi.
Charmaine, I will email you that later on.
Cool
with an
J.
answer.
Hi. Oh, your answer has to be longer than that while I look for this video.
Okay. Okay,
answer another question.
Answer another question.
Here, we'll put, there you go.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you hand the baby to Janie? Because she is the grandmother. I know, however she was, that was her grandchild, and go looking for the other 2 children. And I don't believe a bear would have got them on the property, somebody asked, because, there would be drags, marks, and boots, and it would be a mess. And yes, there had been a case in the States, I believe it was 1947, of a bear actually on its hind legs carrying a child 2 miles off, but then they found that child deceased. So a bear's not going to carry somebody too far before they do what they want with them. So I don't believe it was a bear. I don't believe it was a cougar. You've got 2 children. The bear can't carry 2. It's going to have to come back. So I don't think it was animals. And bears don't generally eat chickens, but they will eat chicken feed. So they could have had animals come around there, but I can't see any animals taking those children off without a mess. So, and it would have to be more than one animal that did that. I'm just reading. I'm reading. I think there's a lot more to this than we know. In my opinion, there's a lot more people involved in a cover-up. I can't understand why people would not want to advocate for the children and be on the children's side and find those children and bring them home and do what's right. And I believe that everybody in the chat, that's what they're looking for, is for somebody to stand up, quit being a coward, and do the right thing. Because the children need to be brought home. I mean, every time I see Belinda, hear her voice, it just breaks my heart. It really does, because she's just a fantastic grandmother that was excommunicated out of her grandchildren's life for absolutely no reason. And she really should have had a chance. And if Malaya had wanted to, she should have given the kids over to her to look after them for a while, and help out. And obviously she had her mom too. And sometimes I wonder whether, in my opinion, the money that stopped coming in for the children was the trigger to all of this happening. And I don't know how many people believe that, and maybe put a 1 if you believe that's what happened, because they weren't getting their child tax benefit and they were no longer getting any money in from Cody, that's what happened, or 2, you don't believe that's what happened. Yes. Thank you, Lola. It's really hard. And in my opinion too, and I've gone over different scenarios, I thought, had Malaya picked up pills from the pharmacy for herself, where they put in the back seat and the children got into them, and I wanted to know where the children were sitting in the back of the vehicle on the way home. I feel that's important. We need to know who was sitting in which seat, and if Meadow was in the middle and Jack was on one side of her and Lily was on the other side of her. Were those children accidentally drugged on the way home, or drugged on purpose on the way home, and they never made it home, and somebody came and picked them up on that road and helped them out? Because we're not getting any of that. We don't know the actual time. We know the vehicle came home at a certain time, but we don't know who came home in the vehicle, unless the GPS data from that vehicle was tracked by the RCMP, because it will tell who sat in the driver's seat, who sat in the passenger seat by their body weight for airbags. So we would know that. They will know that. So if they know that both parents come home, we don't know if the children made it home. So, I mean, everything that everybody's basing is on in the morning, and I'm trying to go back and say, well, let's base it on the night before, and let's see what happened the day before. Did they ever come home? Because the bedtimes are all, she says 9:30, then she says 10. He came in at 8. Well, he would have seen the kids. Where were the kids if they weren't in bed? So that none of those statements make any sense. So I crossed all those statements out, and I kept going back further until I could find a statement that didn't have any holes in it, and that was, they picked up poutine. And that was that was the only statement to me that rang true, in my opinion, is they picked up poutine. What happened after that? Because when you see the statements from the morning before or from evening when they got home, none of those statements, they start contradicting each other. So that's why I went back and thought, well, here's where they were telling the truth, what happened between this area and that area.
Carrie says, when I was young, my family ended up caught up in a fire in Banff. My dad ran over grizzly bear. So scary, never stopped, got out and reported to rangers, wardens. Wow, gosh.
Yeah.
And if CPS did not respect that, she could simply get victim services involved and they would step in. Yeah.
Right.
Hi, trail hiker. Yes, what happened after the poutine? Did the kids even make it home? Or was there a meetup with another person?
Right.
All good questions.
It'd be great if
Shenanigans.
they checked some other vehicles' GPSs, or even, I know you know that route that they took home, and I keep looking, and I don't know, is there a lot of houses on that area that they came home? Or is there none? And if there is, then perhaps there's cameras. Maybe we'd be able to find out more. And maybe some of the people in that area would tell us something.
At the beginning of the route, there is, more homes than there are as you get further out.
Right.
But I'm going to videotape all that when my
Okay.
husband and I go for a drive.
Excellent.
And you guys will see as, it just becomes less and less people, homes, and whatnot. Yeah.
So it would have to be somewhere along where there was no vehicles. Because if the kids accidentally did take something, the first thing, in my opinion, they were thinking of is, oh, well, we're going to get blamed for this because we've already been involved, right, with CPS. So let's protect Meadow and ourselves. We don't want to go to jail, probably ourselves first. And let's hide this incident and let's call somebody. So maybe maybe a call took place somewhere between there, or he booted it to someplace on foot.
Yeah. What day did they go to Patty's to do laundry? It was Wednesday. Daniel apparently sat in the car with the children.
I can't see kids sitting in a car.
Yeah, I'm not sure that happened. There's something all mixed up in that part of her statement, and for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but obviously there's something there that's not making sense, or it's making total good sense, and Malay and Daniel are really telling some lies because her whole statement just totally does not go along with what Malay and Daniel said. Yeah. Hi, Christina. All right, we're going to go over to this video, and this is not the one that I wanted on to pick. I think what happened was, Ginger, I played your video, and it must have, how sometimes you play a video and then it just goes to the next video, and it was also on the same topic. So it probably come on after as I was watching this one, but I had my earbuds in, so I'm just listening. And I probably thought it was the same video. But anyways, this is about coercive control. And I'm sure it's very similar to the video that I was thinking of listening to. And it's very interesting information.
Good.
Everyone, today I thought I'd talk a little bit about this concept of parental alienation. When this first happened to me, I've told everyone who's listening to my YouTube channel that I'm a protective parent, that I'm a survivor of domestic abuse. It was coercive control. It was beyond the violent incident model. It was this idea of really harming someone psychologically and legally and financially, and use of the children as weapons. Absolutely. So when this happened to me, I immediately went to the concept of parental alienation because the same thing had happened.
Oh, wait a minute. Joyous, I hope that wasn't sitting there too long. Great live. Thank you. I'll catch the rest on replay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're so sweet. She's so precious doing
She's a really good person.
to she does that all the time. Not to
She's a
me, but
phenomenal person.
and I mean, I appreciate everyone. I appreciate everyone. But for her to do that and to all us creators covering this is just wow. Yeah. Thank you so
My favorite
much,
song.
Joyous. And I'm so sorry that I missed that. Yeah. What'd you say, Mary?
I said I love that with the bazoos.
Yeah. I'm gonna not play it as long as I usually do, but yeah, I think it's cute. And because it's called the Cat's Meow too, right? So I'm playing it
Yes.
for you guys, and you guys are the Cat's Meow. So that's how I look at that. Yeah.
To my ex, or so I assumed. So
Excuse me.
my ex-partner's mother actually alienated the children. The word alienation, alienated the children from their father. So I'm not excusing any of their father's behaviors. I'm not going to get into details, but I think that my immediate reaction was, oh my gosh, this is what's happening to me. And so I read up on all of the research regarding parental alienation, actually began my doctoral work doing some research on some major players in the field. And I want to be really clear. The word alienation works nicely. And sadly, it works nicely for us. It reaffirms that there has been this taking away of what actually is ours. And so I want to reaffirm that for everyone. No one is saying that that hasn't occurred. The problem is the term. It's weaponized all too often against protective mothers. So what's happened in the field is that fathers' rights initiatives have really come into play to use the term in a way to further harm protective parents. And so if I'm a coercive controller, I am trying to retain power and control over you. If I'm trying to do this, then what's the best way? Well, we know this. I always say that revenge at all costs, right? So I am going to do what Dr. Evan Stark, he calls children secondary victims, not because their victimization is not actually harmful, but because that's actually not what the coercive controller is interested in. The coercive controller is interested in harming the adult victim and uses the children, weaponizes the children to do that. And so they become soldiers in a war, and the war is against you. And so when they are indoctrinated, brainwashed, when all of this gaslighting of a false narrative is happening to them, they, of course, are alienated from you, right? So I want to reaffirm that for you. But really what's going on is a fracturing of their attachment to you. That's really what's going on. And, there's a lot of words out there now that are used, but I'm going to come back from a clinical perspective and say that someone is trying really hard from day one. I always say this has started from day one. I want to be clear. These people show up as wonderful parents. These people show up as loving partners. They, in many ways, they show up successful in their careers, or maybe not so successful in their careers. There's a variety of ways they show up. They're charlatans. They're not real human beings who have true feelings and emotions. They are covering their feelings and emotions with shame. And so they weaponize our children against us. Our children are just objects to them. Our children do not really matter to them. And so you see, it's kind of like, soldiers in a war. I'm just going to use this person to win. That's what I'm going to do. And so when we use the term parental alienation, I think there's a couple things going on. First of all, we're reaffirming where it came from, which it came from a very, unfortunately, unhealthy man who actually minimized child sexual abuse. and used it against protective mothers who were trying to protect their children from sexual abuse. That's number one. Number two, there's a whole world of people who are using it to affirm fathers' rights. And so a good father certainly deserves time with his children. But if someone has been abusive, even covertly, as in coercive control, then that person really, children don't need two parents. They certainly do not. I think thirdly is that what happens is children go to therapy, whether they're forced into repair therapy or horrifyingly reunification camps, where they literally have their attachment to whoever that other parent is totally taken away from them. That there is a narrative in that we validate the circumstances of the most powerful parent. Sadly, that's what ends up happening all too often. That's all coercive control. That's about people wielding their power over others to harm others.
Hi,
It's not healthy
Solace.
for children. So, I was asked to testify in a case, and the case was settled, thankfully. But the idea behind a reunification camp, I didn't know 100% if the other parent was the abuser, the parent who actually called and his attorney asked me to be hired. All I knew is that reunification camps are harmful. That's all I know. All I know is that when we force a child to repair with someone they think is an abuser, when we force that repair therapy, that's harmful because it's a coercion and control of a child. So how do we help children in these circumstances? Well, first of all, we really want to look at attachment. And so what's happened with the foundation? What was the foundation of the parenting relationship? And is there one person who exerted power and control over another? And in that, they're using the children. This is what therapists need to be looking at. This is what court professionals need to be looking at, is what was the foundation of that relationship? Who was the protective parent all along? Who was the person who was mostly engaged in child care and child development and all of those things? Oftentimes it's not shared before there's a separation or divorce. Oftentimes there was one person who was that person. And then is the other person exerting control in some way? We can look at the other ways. It can be financial. It can be using, the court system, of course, which is also financial. But really understanding that it's a fracturing of the attachment that child has with that protective parent. And so when we have clinicians who are validating a child's circumstances, when they say they hate their mother because, she's weird or she's crazy or she yells all the time, I ask therapists to ask the question, is that child receiving a false narrative? And how do we find that out? We talk with them about healthy versus unhealthy relationship dynamics. We talk with them about, let's talk about, when you went to soccer, who was the person on the sidelines? Who was the person who went to your school every week, maybe or every other week, and engaged in reading time? Or who's the person who takes you to doctor's appointments or follows doctors? And who is the person who, always was there at bedtime or, was doing activities with you during the day? There typically is a discernment there. And maybe one parent worked a lot. And that doesn't mean they weren't the protective parent, but we really have to look at who the psychological attachment is to that child, for that child. Who is that? And is that person they're attached to, is that person healthy? Or has that person been attempting to fracture their attachment with their primary caretaker? I call it malicious fracturing of attachment. I say it starts with day one. These people show up a certain way, but they're persistently ensuring they have power over another parent. That's what that is. So there is a lot of a really amazing long-term research out there done by these people who have researched parental alienation. And I get that it is affirming. I get that it feels like someone is hearing you. I'm asking you to just think about the fact that research is based on someone who said that mothers who claimed sexual abuse of their children were hysterical and jealous, and rather than understanding where it comes from. And so, and knowing that now there are rights of fathers that are using it against protected parents and winning at a very high rate. So let's really look at the foundational dynamics of that parenting relationship, of that partnership between the parents, and really unpack that to truly understand what's happening to children. From a clinical perspective, it's all about fracturing their attachment. And the sad part is, and I talk about this when I talk about betrayal trauma, is that they are betrayed by that coercively controlling parent. They are betrayed by that parent because they know they can't be authentic. They know they can't be themselves. They know they're not loved unconditionally. They know it. But then they're being told that that protective parent doesn't love them unconditionally, that that protective parent doesn't accept them authentically. And they get into a narrative that you don't love me. You don't care about me, or you think I'm dumb, or
All right, that's enough for her because I actually found the video I want to play.
Okay.
We can hear your TV or something in the background, Mary.
Oh, I will turn it right down.
Christina,
standing up there
thank
reading.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I so appreciate that. Christina Lacka became a member. Thank you.
Welcome. I'm waiting for it.
Thank you. So sweet. When I see that, I can't stop smiling.
Well, it's because you're doing a great job and people appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I really enjoy doing it. There's days that I have to take a
break.
A mental break. Yeah.
Welcome.
This is the one that I wanted to play. Now, this is, you got to listen to what she's saying. It just hits the nail on the head. Okay, guys? Dr. Emma Katz. And just listen to what she's saying. She describes it. I mean, you're going to go, yep, that's it.
Welcome. I'm Dr. Emma Katz, Associate Professor in Sociology at Durham University and author of the book Coercive Control in Children's and Mothers' Lives. Today we'll be talking about coercive control and parental stalking. Feel free to email me at the email address you can see on the slide there and to follow me on Twitter. In this talk, we will examine what coercive control is, what motivates perpetrators, and what tactics perpetrators use. We'll explore how coercive control harms children, how perpetrators who use stalking as part of post-separation coercive control harm children, and why we need to centre the experiences and rights of children and make greater efforts to tackle perpetrators. Where there's coercive control, the lives and the freedoms of the victims are seriously limited. Coercive control is a largely adult male perpetrated and severe form of abuse, where the perpetrator subjects their partner and family members to persistent and wide-ranging controlling behaviour over a long period of time. Behaviour that far exceeds the reasonable expectations that people have of each other in families and relationships. And, crucially, they make it clear to the victims that standing up for themselves will be punished. So the perpetrator sets up a situation where it's very clear to the victims that they have to do what the perpetrator says, or else they'll face unreasonable and cruel punishments. The punishments may take many forms. It might be violence, but it might not be. But it will be something that the perpetrator knows that the victim dreads, such as cruel verbal put-downs, frightening behaviour, sleep and food deprivation, or hurting their loved ones.
Hmm.
By repeatedly punishing the victim for non-compliance, the perpetrator intends to demoralize and terrorize the victim and victims into a state of permanent obedience. The perpetrator is motivated by their deeply held and harmful drive to obtain control over the other people in their family and to maintain that control for as long as they want it, whether that's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. For perpetrators, this drive is so strong it tends to dominate their whole life. Much of their time is spent pursuing the control that they seek and cultivating a positive public reputation that will reduce the likelihood that anyone will ever believe or rally around the victims should the victims come forward and ask for help. So that time that the perpetrator spends telling the people in their community what a great person they are, telling people online what a great person they are, and building a positive public reputation, that is all part of their ability to keep control of you indefinitely. The impacts on the family will include fear, confusion, self-doubt and self-blame. What am I doing that's causing this? Is this my fault? Why do they treat me this way? There must be something I'm doing wrong. This must be my fault somehow. Low self-esteem, feeling really terrible about yourself. Trauma, PTSD, depression, anxiety, physical illness, because the amount of stress and strain that this puts on the body makes the body much more vulnerable to physical illness. Deprivation, social deprivation, economic deprivation. The feeling of always walking on eggshells, trying to please the perpetrator, doing your very best to keep the perpetrator happy and contented, and not being able to exercise self-determination over key areas of their life. There may also be attempts from victims to fight back. Some victims fight back physically, they hit back at the perpetrator. Some fight back verbally by calling the perpetrator nasty names in retaliation for what the perpetrator is doing to them. And some might fight back in a more subtle way by, for example, refusing to think about something in the way that the perpetrators demanded they think about it. But there will be attempts at resistance, whether covert or overt, and there'll be increasing attempts to speak the truth about what's happening, protect themselves and other victims in the family from further harm. Here we can see a list of abusive tactics that I believe are part of coercive control.
Not exactly where Chris Vicious. I'm trying to think. Somebody did a video. No, I don't think they were trying to find where it was, but I just know it's in Bernie's River, and I know where that is, and Marigamish and that whole area. Well, it's not on Big Island, but it's down like that whole Bernie's River, Marigamish, Big Island. That's all one area,
Right.
Side of the county. Like my family has a cottage down there, so I'm down there a lot throughout the summer. But yeah, it's I believe it's across the side. I don't think it's on the side where the beach is. I think it's on the other side of the road. I could be wrong. And the side that has the beach on it is the beach where like that beach runs right along that whole area. It's called a mini trail. You start there and it just goes for miles and miles and miles into another county, Antigonish area, and they call it the mini trail, the mini like it's like the Cabot Trail but smaller, and it's just beautiful. And it has all the coves, and like the cove that you hear the gentleman that was on Sunny's oh my gosh, he does the remote reading, Zach, he was talking about, like that's all down through that mini trail. It's all on the same road. it's just a big long road that takes you from one part of Nova Scotia to the next, to another. And yeah, all the coves are down in there. It's just gorgeous. So that beach that he had talked about that he was walking on with Malaya and that's where that is. In that area. Yeah, and that's Big Island Beach. Yeah.
But we don't know if it was searched.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I've never ever heard anything about it. No.
No, nor have I, that they would have searched. It's a beautiful area, though.
Oh my gosh. So gorgeous. Yeah.
So
All that.
much of Nova Scotia is beautiful.
Yeah, like one of our favorite spots to go for a drive is down through like Cape George and all that. And there's some fish and chip restaurants down there, and the lighthouse. Like we always go to the lighthouse. Like it's one of our spots we go to every summer. It's just beautiful, or even in the fall. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we've been all over Nova Scotia and I love all of it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
so pretty and people are so friendly and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some beautiful spots, that's for sure.
yeah. I mean, yes, there could be
And
some
you can see in the
rural
corner
clans out there, but that you don't want to get around. But for the most part, people are super nice.
Oh yeah. 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 There's just some hard set ways, I'll tell you. And yeah,
Yes.
like I
Yeah.
said, yeah, old
Oh,
habits die hard.
I met those ways when I was down.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Yeah.
going to for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will.
here, this little graphic of a toolbox, which I've named the Terrible Toolbox. And these are the tools that the perpetrator uses to take a person who is autonomous, has their own needs and rights and preferences and wishes and goals, has a full set of human rights, and take that person and break them down so that they live their life just to please and serve the perpetrator.
This is the very interesting part here, guys, that she's talking about. This toolbox.
Human rights, and take that person and break them down so that they live their life just to please and serve the perpetrator and are no longer living for themselves. So in order to do that, because that's a pretty difficult thing to do, to turn somebody who's fully autonomous, who has a full set of human rights, into your own personal servant-like figure who exists to please and serve you. The abuser needs a lot of tools to do that because it's a tough job. So imagine that everything that is on this list is part of the perpetrator's tools to accomplish this.
Sorry, I have to pause again. Lori, I don't know if you have a bad memory or what, but you have asked that question so many times and I've answered it several times. I'm not going to answer it again because I think you know the answer. Or maybe you do have memory issues, and if you do, I apologize. I know what that's like. I do as well, but I do know that you've answered that. You've asked that question over and over and over, and it's been answered over and over and over.
Emotional and psychological abuse and the manipulation, including times of rewarding you for being obedient to them, giving you little treats and rewards when they're pleased with your level of obedience. That, you could imagine, is the hammer in the toolbox.
Ginger, that's cute. Daniel, we know Daniel cooked a meal one time.
We do.
My
but
thoughts
we don't
were
know.
the same. Oh, wow.
Yeah, but we don't know why she went into having an episode.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can,
Imagine.
speculate.
Yes.
Yeah. Been there. Yeah.
Control of time and movement, the micromanagement of your everyday life is the screwdriver. The sexual coerciveness, rape, paranoia about infidelity, intimate image and video abuse, and reproductive coercion. That is making you have a child that perhaps you didn't want to have, or not have a child that perhaps you did want to have. That's
Right.
the wrench. And then imagine that the rest of the list are further tools in the toolbox. economic abuse, in interfering with the survivor's employment, preventing them from having money and assets in a fair and equal way in their name, refusing to contribute to bills, creating debts for which the survivor is liable, isolating the survivor from sources of support, their family, their friends, their communities, and the professionals who might be able to help them, monitoring, harassing, and stalking, including using technology to carry out your stalking, manipulating others, including children, to upset, marginalize, and disempower the survivor, using legal and institutional means to threaten, harm, and discredit the survivor, such as making false reports about them or dragging them back to court over and over and over again, using physical violence. So some perpetrators use physical violence. They will physically attack you. Others might not actually lay hands on you, but they will physically abuse you in ways that harm your body. For example, they might deprive you of sleep all the time. They might stop you from managing your medical condition or your disability properly, leaving you unable to manage that correctly. They might interfere with your ability to eat a nutritious diet or meet your hygiene needs in the way that you wish to. There may be intimidation and threats, so behaving in a very violent way towards the furniture around you, getting right up close next to your face, hitting the wall next to you, making threats of what they're going to do to you. There may be threats and intimidation and actual violence towards your pets, your other loved ones, and also damage to property, smashing up your stuff, destroying things that are important to you. All of this is continual, not episodic. Evan Stark's book, Coercive Control: How Men Entrap Women in Personal Life, argued that our response to coercive control-based domestic violence is failing victims because it's wrongly seeing domestic violence as discrete incidents or episodes of violence, and virtually all of our domestic violence research and intervention is based on this model. But this overlooks that coercive control perpetrators are using many other tactics besides physical violence. They're using emotional abuse, they're monitoring you, isolating you, stalking you, economically abusing you, and perpetrators are doing these things continuously. Victims and survivors are therefore being constantly abused, even if there's not been an incident of physical violence for months or ever. So now let's start to think about the impacts of this on children who are going through this in their families. Childhood should be a time of nurturance and growing independence. The intrepid child, supported by loving, empathetic, consistent, and boundary-setting caregivers, should be able to explore their world. As children get to know themselves and their preferences, their rights, as enshrined in the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of the Child, should be respected, including their rights to have a say in matters that affect them and for their views to be given due weight.
Right.
Yet perpetrators of coercive control are catastrophically unequipped to give children the childhood experiences they need. A perpetrator, who is usually, though not always, a child's father or father figure, and in rare cases can be the child's mother or mother figure or another family member, but for the most part we're talking here about the child's father or father figure. They are singularly focused on one thing: their campaign to control their target or targets, who is usually the child's mother and sometimes also the child themselves. In some families, children experience the perpetrator rigidly and malevolently controlling their daily activities, excessively controlling and limiting their contact with friends and family, hurting their beloved pets, and depriving them of access to money and resources that are normal for their age. Coercive control perpetrators don't tend to respect their partner's decision to end the relationship. So while victims are seeking freedom from abuse and to regain their basic autonomy, The perpetrator is typically continuing in their efforts to control and dominate their ex-partner and children's lives, and or to punish them for daring to break free. So perpetrators will use children in their post-separation coercive control. A 2007 study by Bieber et al. Found that most women report that their assailants use their children to stay in their lives, 70% of women reported that, keep track of them, 69%, harass them, 58%, and intimidate them, 58% of the women in the study said that. Almost half of the women in the study reported their assailants had tried to turn their children against them, while 45% reported that their assailants had tried to use the children to convince them that they should take him back. 44% stated that their assailants had tried to use the children to frighten them. Women who had ended or were ending their relationship with the assailant experienced the abuser using the children significantly more than did women who were continuing in the relationship. So this is something that gets worse post-separation, not better. Very similarly, a much more recent study by Clements et al. In 2021 found, again, abusers using the survivors' children to stay in their lives, 76% reported this, intimidate them, 72% reported it, keep track of them, 72%, harass them, 71%, or frighten them, 69%. Many also tried to turn the children against them, 62%, or use the children to convince the survivors to take them back and resume the relationship, 45%. The study's quantitative analysis found that perpetrators' use of the children as part of the campaign of coercive control was worsening the survivors' PTSD and anxiety symptoms. The findings of the Academy of Finland-funded CAPS project on children's experiences of parental stalking align with and enhance what we know about the harmful impacts of coercively controlling fathers and what these impacts are on the children post-separation. Monitoring and stalking are key tactics used by coercive controllers, which is why it's so important to link coercive control, domestic abuse, and stalking together. Children experience their father's stalking and are subjected to the same impacts as the adult coercive control victims. The children experience.
I gotta pause. JDR, you deserve a clap. You picked up on that. Good girl. It may be a part of the puzzle. Imagine completely not filing your income tax, because she talked about part of the control is putting them in a position where they have no income. And we
Right.
know that that was done via him not filing his income tax. I picked right up on that one too. Good girl, JDR. Yeah.
Experiencing this are fearful, they're distressed, and their lives become greatly limited and shrunken, like this, by the abuser's actions until the child's life is really, really small. They can't go where they want to go. They can't do what they want to do. They're always in fear of what will happen, whether their father will say or do something that's really scary, that's really distressing. The impacts are so similar that child victims should be considered victims in their own right alongside the adult victims. So this picture is an illustration from the CAPS project illustrating some of the CAPS findings. And here we can see a child in the center of the picture and what the child's life looks like.
Sorry, Grandma Rosie.
And we can see the perpetrator saying to the child, "I'll give you 10 euros if you take pictures of your mum and send them to me." We can see the perpetrator saying to the child, "I'll be coming over to have a chat." We can see that the child here is trying to play, but they're feeling very scared. Even the bush that they're playing next to looks evil and sinister and like it's watching them, because they never know when their father might be watching them, whether he might be hiding behind that bush. There's fearfulness, clinging to their mother. There's so many messages, 12 messages, letters, there's question marks, there's the smiley face and the frowny face here, because you never know what mood the perpetrator will be in. Will this be a day where they're pretending to be nice, where they treat you to things, when they lavish attention upon you and expect you to be really comfortable and enjoying their attention, despite how scary they find you? Or will this be a day when they're just downright terrifying? And you can see the spider's web, you can see the fish that's about to be caught on the fishing hook. So children worried about traps, worried about being trapped. And you can see the telephone with the cross through it, because the telephone has become a really scary thing. Although domestic abusers have a playbook of common behaviours and tactics, their coercive control is always tailored to some extent to what the abuser thinks will work best in any given situation. So coercive control is based on long-standing patterns of abusive behaviour, and victims become attuned to the particular signs of threats and danger, and these may look somewhat different from abuser to abuser. Therefore, the victim's reactions to particular words or even looks or actions from the abuser, these may seem like overreactions to outsiders who do not understand the history of the abuse. So getting a text message and the child suddenly becoming very scared about that might look like an overreaction to someone who doesn't understand the history of the abuse, but the child may get text messages that are highly abusive from the perpetrator very frequently. And words like, "I'll be coming over to have a chat," can carry a menace in a way that outsiders may not understand unless they're willing to learn about the history of the abuse. So for all people who have such a child in their life, ask them why they're reacting that way in a gentle and non-judgmental way, and what meaning this particular behavior from the abuser has. Perhaps what's happened in the past when the abusers behaved that way or said that or looked like that, why this is scary to the child. Try to understand it from their point of view, because they're not being unreasonable, they're being very reasonable based on the very particular patterns of behavior that they have long experience of from this abuser. Perpetrators use children as part of their stalking, including their technology-facilitated stalking, and this is a global problem. Here's an example from an Australian study. Aoife, a mother, gave a detailed description of how her ex-partner involved their daughters in technology-facilitated abuse. During the relationship, he expected to have access to Aoife's phone, obsessing over details of her phone calls. She began to thwart this behavior by changing her passwords. When she refused to provide her new password, the abuser moved on to the daughters, pressuring them to provide the new password. As Aoife explained, "I started putting a new passcode on, and then if he couldn't get into my phone, he would ask for the passcode. If I didn't want to give it, that would start a huge fight, because of course she's resisting his control. He won't tolerate that, so he starts to become aggressive. If I didn't give it, he would go and demand to my two older girls, 'Do you know Mum's password? Give me the password.' So yeah, it would just get into a whole argument. He said to our daughter, 'You're nothing but a sneaky bitch,' because she wouldn't give him the password." Perpetrators can attempt to enroll children as photographers documenting their mother's life, providing a continual stream of photographic data to be used by the abuser as a weapon against her. As one mother explained, "He asked the children to take photos of me and my friends and what I'm doing. All the messages he sends to the children have nothing to do with the children, but he tries to exploit the children in order to get information about me." And this is from a Finnish study. Also from the Finnish study, that's part of the Katz project, mothers spoke about the emotional toll caused to children by perpetrators' continued and excessive contact with them. "I'm most distressed because he sends inappropriate messages to the children. At times, both of the children have been emotionally and behaviorally disturbed because of his phone calls and messages." The children don't always have the energy to reply to his messages, which makes the father nervous about it. He then starts to extort the children, saying, "If you don't answer me, you won't get what I've promised to buy for you." In the examples that we've just seen in the previous few slides, perpetrators were subjecting children to classic coercive control. Coercive controllers often gain their victims' compliance through frightening systems of punishment and reward. If you stand up for yourself, if you put your feelings and needs first, and you don't comply with the perpetrator, then you're punished. If you do comply and you do something that makes you feel uncomfortable, and you do something that's really against your best interests, then you're rewarded. And how confusing and distressing is this for any human, but especially for a child, to be constantly punished for doing the right thing and rewarded for doing the wrong thing. In the previous examples, this is what these perpetrators were subjecting their child victims to, asking the children to do things that they were uncomfortable with and that were against their best interests, such as replying constantly to the perpetrator's abusive messages, sending the perpetrator lots and lots of pictures of their mother that would compromise their mother's safety and would give the perpetrator materials to start weaving lies and false accusations out of, to give their dad their mum's password so that he could obsess over her phone calls and further monitor and restrict her. So this is what these perpetrators were subjecting these child victims to. And of course, the children were distressed and fearful at being punished for doing the right thing and being rewarded for doing something that was against their best interests. The abusive behaviour of perpetrators towards ex-partners and children could all too easily be dismissed in many different ways, and too often our societal responses are to dismiss this in many different ways. So just a few examples of how this could be commonly dismissed. A child might say to another child, "Yeah, my dad can be unreasonable too." Or, "He's just doing it because he cares what happens to his family." Or the adult victim and survivor might be told, "You broke up years ago. Why are you still so anxious?" Or, "At least he doesn't live with you anymore. It can't be that bad." Or, "If you gave him more information yourself, he wouldn't have to try and find out in this way." All of these dismissive and indeed victim blaming and perpetrator excusing responses fail to grasp the full scale of the harm that the perpetrator is causing in the mother and child's life. They fail to view the child's life from the child's perspectives, with the child's experiences and their rights to freedom and safety centered. So professionals encountering children in these situations should center the child and the child's rights to freedom and safety from abuse, and allow the child to explain what their world looks like and feels like from their point of view, and what would help them to realize their rights. To conclude, it's often assumed that a father cannot possibly be that dangerous to their own children. Abusive fathers use positive societal sentiments about the importance of family, that children need both parents, discourses about men's orientation towards protecting and leading their families, to cloak and hide their terroristic abuse of women and children. Separation is presumed to bring about safety from domestic abuse and violence. So people engaging with a child whose mother and father separated years ago may not understand the extreme level of abuse the abusive father is still subjecting the mother and child to. Technology is enabling abusers to terrorize, terrify, and dominate their victims' lives from afar. They don't need to be in close proximity to do this. These crimes by fathers are a violation of children's rights as set out in the UNCRC and are profoundly harmful to children's safety, health, well-being, and their ability to succeed in life. As societies, we need to make urgent progress to curb the ability of these abusive fathers to continue with their abuse. So this is my book, Coercive Control in Children's and Mothers' Lives, published by Oxford University Press in 2022, available on Amazon. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Dr. Emma Katz of Durham University. Feel free to email me and follow me on Twitter. These are the references that I used in today's talk, which I'll just briefly show you in case you want to follow up on any of them.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Of all the videos that Ginger sent me, I thought that one was,
Hit the nail on the head.
yeah. Yeah. Here, if you're struggling there. Yeah, very good job. Thank you, Ginger, so much for sharing that and sending that to me. And Ginger's full of information, just like you are as well, Mary. Yeah, children's rights. Children's rights in Canada are protected by the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child and are based on principles of provision, basic needs, protection from harm, and participation. Yeah. So
Yet
as
they
that
didn't give the kids a child advocate lawyer. Sorry.
Nope, that's all right.
You know, the children should have had an advocacy lawyer for them, and they did
Yeah.
not.
Well, and maybe it just didn't get to that point yet, right? Like,
Right. But what point does it need to get
I
to? Like,
know.
this is the wrong point to be at, right?
Yep,
So they're
that's
going to have to.
right.
And can they not do a grand jury and get some factual statements from these people? Can the people of Nova Scotia request one, or Belinda request one, so that they could get to the heart of the truth of everything, and then there would be all these twisted statements would have to come out, and they could cut through the crap and get the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
They need it. They really
Yeah.
do.
Now I have some comments here I stirred because I thought they were great. First of all, JDRs. And I somebody said, it's not good to pause on the video, and I don't like to do that. I like for the whole thing to play through. But I forgot that I could star comments and at the end have them all starred and not have to try to go back in the comments so far
Right.
back. So yeah, to JDR, yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that with the income thing, right? Because that was $2,000 some a month. Like that's
And that
that's a
could have been
couple
the
of
catalyst to
paychecks.
this. Right.
Yeah. Oh my
Right.
goodness.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of that stuff, right? It compounds. And then Scotia Leah said, Novah, do you know where the old cars were? In the woods on the side of the highway going to Barney's River. If you're talking about the ones where the big red, that barn is, that is the old fire department. If that's what you're talking about, and I think all those cars are gone now. Yeah, because Cassandra said, "I always wanted to take photos of those cars." Then they were gone one day. So if that is where you're talking about, I do, because I know those cars are gone now too, because my husband and I went that way one day coming home from Maniganish just for the beautiful drive on the old highway, and we passed by there. So I'm not sure if that's where you're referring to. And Scotia Leo says, Cassandra, that area belongs to the Mackenzie family in Lansdowne. Okay. I looked into it years ago, and I was told that's who to talk to and good luck because they weren't friendly. So you were hearing that years ago. It's always been the thing, yeah, with them around here. Cassandra says, Daniel and Janie framed her caring for Meadow, and she's referring to the stuff that was being said in the video that we just watched, as ignoring the other kids. But it dripped with resentment for having to help. 100% my thoughts as well. Like, I mean, the put downs that I was picking up on right from the beginning. Like, it's just like I was disheartened. I was like, this is a mom caring for her child, and you're putting it down as though at every angle to make it look like she's some type of bad person because what mother's not paying more attention to the baby? That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Not that you don't pay any attention to the other children at all anymore, but yes, the attention is now divided and a baby needs more attention. That's just fact. It's not a bad thing. And that's when other people around you who should be loving and caring pitch in a little more and help out. That's how that works. Hi, Belinda. Thanks for being here. Grandma Rosie, yeah, taking the phone away, holding her down, pushing her up against the wall. Malay, we know that he wasn't nice to the children at times, so that would be held over her head, that worry, that Jack's going to get a boot thrown at him, or, that's all that coercive part of the relationship, right? Coercive control. Cassandra, Tammy, maybe she has spoken up to the police. Exactly. We don't know, right? Because, that we would not know that. We would not know that. But
No, and it's not safe for them to say it out loud, right?
Right.
Because it could put her in jeopardy.
Exactly. And when people say she wasn't told not to speak to the media, well, if she did speak with police and has given them more information, then yes, she would have been told that. That's a different situation than Daniel and Janie are in, right? If that's the case, if that's what took place. And remember, those documents were only from May 2nd to mid-July. So what has ever taken place after that, we don't know. And what was in those documents was chosen for us to see. And, they would have cherry-picked that, right? Carefully. Ginger's mom, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, like other law enforcement agencies and legal counsel in Canada, recommend that suspects remain silent in the media. 100%. Yes. It only makes sense because if you accidentally leak something, that could be the whole case. And the couple of times that Malaya has said things, there is a couple of things I've picked up on that she said that, I could clearly see that, okay, I won't go into it, but, yeah, like you're better off just not saying anything. And to police, to protect their legal rights and ensure a fair trial. Public statements can have significant negative consequences that jeopardize a suspect's case. Exactly. Sometimes, Cassandra, sometimes witnesses can be asked to remain quiet until the case goes to court. Exactly.
I often wondered, Novah, did Daniel or was Daniel or Malaya told not to leave the area by the RCMP, or do they have free reign to travel anywhere?
Oh.
Right? Because then that would make them suspect.
That's an interesting question. Maybe Daniel's or DT.
No.
DT could ask him that, or Charmaine. We could ask Charmaine.
Maybe Charmaine would ask him that.
Yeah.
JT, I don't put too much faith in.
Well, I was joking. I wouldn't even contact him, but Charmaine. Yeah.
No. We're on the same page there.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's something not right there. JDR, it only costs like $100 to file taxes. He could have used his EI check to file taxes and not deprive M of her baby bonus. GST, in my opinion. Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, come on. You're going to put out a little bit of money to get a crap load of money back. I mean, come on. Like, especially when you're living that. I've lived poor and I've lived rich, to be honest with you. I've lived
Right.
both ends of it, and now
I have to.
I'm the monkey in the middle. But um, and when you live poor, you get that all done because that's your income, right? That's
Yes.
your baby bonus, that's your money back on your income tax.
Yeah.
If when you're working, you usually get a little bit of money back. You claim the oldest child, like that's no, like you don't not pay out that little bit of money. Um,
And wouldn't Daniel have um, support payments for his 2 children from
you would
his?
think.
So wouldn't Fro get involved if they weren't paid and cut everything off, including his driver's license? Like they freeze everything.
Uh, they don't really do that around here.
Oh,
I
really?
mean,
It depends
no,
on whether the wife files, right? If she needs
no.
that money, she's going to file.
No, it's an automatic. They don't have a choice. Like
Okay.
they are strict about that one, I'll have to I will say. But if the
Okay.
man's messing around, like I went through this
Right.
and going from job to job and place to place and causing all that confusion and you're not getting it,
Right.
whatever they figure out the tricks, right? If not just men, women as well, but an individual if they're going to play that game, to try to
Right.
get out of it. Um, when they do that, um, they don't go after them with the license. Like they never did that to my ex-husband. Now maybe that's
Okay.
changed today and they're more strict about it, but they back in the day when I was going through all that, no, they didn't do all that. Um, and but
Henry said they do in Nova Scotia.
they never did that with my ex-husband ever. Never. And I mean he owed lots of money. He did eventually, once he came to his senses, eventually pay it and stuff. And there's no getting out of that. Like when
No.
I did the whole divorce thing and paid it and everything, right?
Yeah.
Because that was another thing he was holding over my head, that he would never divorce me. And if I tried to file, I mean, we had not been together for years at that point, and he was still doing that. He would take the kids from me, and he was making all these threats, right? And nobody knew
Right.
what he was really like and what he was doing behind the scenes, saying that stuff.
Right.
But anyways, once the kids were old enough, um, he and I knew,
Excuse me.
okay, well, you can't take them from me because now they're like 14, 15, they're going to say, I'm not going with you. I'm staying with my mom that I've been with always.
Right.
Once they were at that age, right, and they could speak for themselves, I then started the proceedings and did all that. And when it came to the child support, I didn't want it, like what he still owed in arrears. And I thought, well, like I don't want it. I don't care. I never cared about the money, right? Like
Right.
I'll do what I need to do, right, for my children. Um, and and I because the battle that you have to go through to try to get that income was not worth my children seeing that. Do you know what
Right.
like that would have been more traumatizing and to them to see a battle like that going on than to just say, "Look, I don't I didn't care about it anyways, but
Correct.
I just and I didn't want them to see that." So, anyway, uh I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry.
It's okay. Oh,
um
the money. Like that you didn't
oh,
file, so
yeah.
Daniel wasn't. We don't know whether Daniel
So when
had a
I had
requirement to pay.
yeah, so when I filed for my divorce, I said I don't want that money because I knew it was going to hold up the divorce and it was going to
Right.
be a whole battle, that he was going to fight against. So I
Right.
just said, "Look, I don't want it." Right? Well, the
Right.
court wouldn't allow that. You're not allowed to do that. He owes it. He has to pay it. So in that way, they were very strict in the sense that, oh no, he owes that money. He's paying it no matter how long it takes. If it takes the rest of his life, he's paying it. Um, but they never ever come after him and took his license or did any of that stuff. No.
They changed that now, though, because I know people that have gone through it in the past 10 years, and they
Well,
do force them.
good.
And it's about
because
time, because it
that's
shouldn't be up
right.
to the other spouse, because sometimes it can be the man, right? It's not, it shouldn't be up to the spouse that's with the children to have
try to
to
fight that, because as I just said, look at the
so
strain you're putting
financially
on that
draining and
parent,
emotionally.
right? And what you're doing to the kid, like that should be something that the children aren't even aware of, that individual who's not paying with has to deal with all that crap, right?
Right.
So good. I'm glad they're doing that now. That
You know, a funny thing when you're saying that is my sister-in-law, she's deceased now, but she said in Germany, when a divorce decree was set in stone, that the one person got the children and the other one didn't, and they never seen the children again. That's just the way that went. Like, so that whole thing that you're talking about going through was gone.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Because she had a cousin that the parents divorced and they never seen the father again. So it just depends on what parent they're left with and what the court decides over there.
Yeah.
Now, maybe they've changed that now, but then they hadn't. So,
Rooster, Nova, does your recycling go out every week or every second week? Every second. Every second. Hi, Ariel.
I remember that.
Yep.
Clear bags and, oh God, yes.
Yes, and recycling, and you're allowed one black bag, and it's supposed to be for unmentionables, but you can put at the end of the day, you can put whatever you want in it. I would just put stuff in it I wanted to get rid of, like pillows or whatever.
Right.
Hi, Ariel. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Yeah. What else do we have here? That's not nice. Sorry you had to go through that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Look at this. You came out the other side.
Oh
You've
my
got
God. I have
so much
such
wisdom and knowledge
I
that
have
you
such
can pass on to other people.
exactly, and that's the path you have to take with it, right? I could be sitting
Right.
here whining every day and poor me, but no,
Yeah.
it's experiences, and I just want to figure out how we can do better as a society to prevent that things like that, the cycles, and breaking those cycles and preventing things like this from happening, if that's what's related to this case, and because most times it is, as we learn.
Yeah. You know how they have like a Lamaze class for people? I think they should start in that. Plus, it should start in kindergarten. Just like financial, to learn how to do finances and to learn how to manage a household. All of that should start in kindergarten, and none of that starts. And it should. And when women are pregnant, they should be going through that. They should be learning, and there should be options for them, that because you don't know whether she was trapped into a pregnancy and now she's stuck with yet another child and in a relationship that she was trying to get out of.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all those things that aren't being assessed in a proper fashion so that the people are helped at the right time. It's always too little too late.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fat cats in government making money.
Oh, I know.
And we see so little of this money going to the areas that are needed. And I know there's children advocate lawyers out there. And I know that Nova Scotia has them. And I see people like Belinda having to get somebody from out in Alberta here to help her so that she can get some information and stuff. And that is so wrong. What is matter with the people down there? Where are all these lawyers from down there? Why aren't they helping her?
People don't. It's like, just don't get involved. Don't get involved. That's why I talked about the mentality in my last video, and that's how it is. There's a mentality that just is slow to be broken. Yeah.
Well, I think I
trail
heard that at
hiker,
a
very
camp
good point.
this morning.
What what we do know is there were three children living on the property. 2 kids are not biologically Daniel's. The 2 that are not are missing. Yeah.
Right.
What did you say, Mary, about this morning with Kent?
The lady host, she was asking him, was he married? And he said no. That he lived at home with his mother, that he'd never been married, and yet he had such a strong opinion about relationships. And I thought, you haven't been there, so how can you possibly have one? You know, and how can you be looking at things the way you're looking at? Like, oh, in my opinion, and I totally disagree with him. So I just found it like, why are you out there speaking on this when you don't know anything about it? Like, you only know what you're hearing, and you seem to be advocating for Daniel. You should be advocating for the children. I mean, that's what I get off of him, and that's in my opinion. Some people are going to tell me, no, he's done a lot, but I'm going to say that if the children are alive, do the children need to be brought back into society, seeing posters of them all over the place? And like, is that going to trigger for them? Or should they have waited, you know, and had it done by the missing and exploited children? Should things have gone that way? And maybe people should tie a yellow ribbon around a tree or on their fence post to say, bring these children home. If you don't want to speak out, at least put something there so that you're not totally silent.
Mm.
Because I'd
Yeah.
like to see them brought home one way or the other, and maybe them driving by is going to give them a guilt complex that they actually, somebody speaks up.
Yeah. Well, everybody's allowed their opinion.
Right.
For
Absolutely.
sure. And I understand yours. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're not the only one that has said that as well.
Yes, because Kent said he was qualified, Drippy says.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Amethyst girl. What always
Thank you,
bothered
Drippy.
me about Tint, that he never answered the question, are you the one who took the kids? He just responded, are you? Back to Earl. That bugged me. Yeah.
There's so many questions.
Scotia Leo. No, they were in the trees on the hill on the side of the highway. No building. Oh, I know where you're talking about now. I know where you're talking about. I do remember that. Yes, I do. Sorry, go ahead, Mary.
No, I lost my track. I was reading the comments that came up.
Oh yeah, Drippy said something about. My opinion, Janie and oh my God, I was going to say Darren. Daniel are trying very hard to make Malaya look like a bad mother. 2 selfish reasons. I agree. This has been my opinion from way back in my videos. I felt this way for a long time. But like I said, I usually do a hit it and dismiss it because I don't want to harp and have other people feel like I've convinced them of something. People have to come to those feelings themselves, and some of us reach those thoughts before others, you know?
Right.
Sometimes just because of your own experiences or training, you can see something before someone else sees it. So I don't like to push my ideas on somebody else. Novah, your voice sounds just like my most favorite neighbor. It's nice. Oh, thank you. Maybe I'm your neighbor.
That's sweet.
I would laugh my head off if she would, because I don't know a lot of my neighbors. I know some of them. I know the guy across the street. Know him real well now. By the way, he did end up getting to go to the hospital and got treatment.
Well, I was going to say, didn't they put him on a 72-hour hold?
No, they didn't, but they couldn't find him. Like my husband and I were up, and because the police kept coming back, and we'd say, "Did you find him?" And they were like, "No." And oh my God, we were so worried because he ran towards the river, and people have already with some issues going on, have already run into that river and drowned. And we were thinking, oh my God, please tell me he didn't go in the river. Like, we just felt so horrible and that we didn't get out there quick enough to get him. And, well, my husband.
Well, at the same time, though, you know, it's not safe because you never know what somebody's going to do when they're like that.
Yeah.
They're very, like, if it was a rug, they could be stronger than normal and somebody could get hurt.
Yeah.
So the authorities handling it
Yeah.
should have handled it a little bit quicker, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Just want to make sure I'm not missing any comments here. I mean, some I'm missing, but I know you guys are talking to each other, but
They're talking about Kent, a lot of them.
they're down. Okay, I'm way
Yes.
up. I thought if I remember correctly, DM said he owes capital gains on a property. He might, yeah, he said that. That's one of those things that I wouldn't believe that he says when I was talking earlier, that you have to sift through it and decide what you think's probably the truth amongst the lies. That wouldn't be
Right.
one of the
Right.
things I would pick as truth.
Right.
In my opinion, Janie knew there was a chance the person was her son. Yep. And omitted that part in her statements to RCMP. Yep. I agree. My thoughts as well.
Whether,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't think Janie did anything other than, in my opinion, if she was to have covered up for whatever happened, now is the time for her to come clean and
Yep.
get a deal for herself. Like, somebody should be saying, geez, we're getting close to those orange suits. Maybe we should get a deal. You know,
Yes.
like, somebody's going to
Yeah.
want to not go to prison because, you know, they're not going to have a good life in there.
That's right.
And they're not, you know, I guess some of them are thinking they'll never get caught. And the arrogance of them is exactly what the police would be looking for them to trip up so they could be caught.
Yeah. Yeah, Drippy, I hear ya. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we have to remind ourselves we're not the spokesperson for everything, right? No
Right.
matter how involved you are in the community or the county. Yeah.
Yeah, he shouldn't try to speak for the res. They have their
Getting with
own
us.
ways.
Yeah.
And
Getting with
I'm
us.
very proud of my Métis heritage, by the way, you know, and that Grand Chief
Me too.
Membertou is my grandfather. And the funny thing is, when we looked around Nova Scotia for a place to live, when we looked everywhere, we ended up out by Kedgie. And it's funny because we went in and we were in town, and there was Membertou's, where the grave was for him and everything was right
Yep.
there in Annapolis Royal. So I was never far from him. And I always wonder whether he, for some reason, how did I get drawn to that area? And I love it there. It was just beautiful.
Oh, it's so gorgeous. I was so disappointed the day that we were there. They were doing some maintenance in the area where the oh my God, what are they called? The carvings. Can't think of oh, it was right on the tip of my tongue. I'm getting my brain's
Where all the
getting.
monuments are and the statues and that of him down.
No, the pirate, what are they called? Pyroglyphic? What do they call those?
Hieroglyphics.
The carvings, like
Yes, the hieroglyphics.
the native carvings. They were
Right.
they were doing
Totems.
maintenance in that area that day, because they take very good care of that whole area.
Yes.
And so we couldn't go see them, and I was so disappointed. Like, seriously, so disappointed. Like,
We
it
took a
totally.
day and went and seen that and took pictures. But if you're in, like, if you go down and you take the time and you go through Annapolis Royal, there's some beautiful places there to stop. And there's one lady that makes chocolates. And if you go out Highway 8 past Kedgie, there's a beautiful, like, a place called the Hollow Log. It's great to stop and have a meal at. The people are wonderful. They're just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Thanks, Daphne. We canoed through all of Kejimkujik, and we portaged and then camped and then
Oh, it's
portaged,
beautiful.
canoed, camped, portaged, canoed, camped. The
Yeah, no kidding.
trees. The
Well, we had
trees.
100-mile woods behind us, so I had nobody behind me and nobody around me for 3 miles. And there's a resort down there. We used to go down and have dinner at sometimes where you'd overlook the one lake. And that was pretty much the closest thing. And then there was a neighbor down from that. Um, there was just nobody around. So when I hear Brad say he could see the lights, I knew because the way that our house was angled, I could see lights coming up the highway. And I could say, oh, that's so and so going by because we knew who those neighbors were down there because some of them would stop in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you get to know the people.
Oh my goodness. Yes, we popped into a little community there on our way to uh the site where we were going canoeing and that. And what a oh my gosh, what a precious community. It reminded me something out of one of those movies where, it's the little
Mm.
fishing community and there's always the wharf in the movie or the TV show or whatever it is. And the the restaurant, the post office, and the store were all the same. So
So
it
you
was
were
so
coming
funny.
around the bend. You had come past, like, come down Halifax way and come around.
Oh, I can't remember. It was so long ago. But this was very close to the camp where we were going to do the
Right.
portaging and all that in
Yeah,
Kejimkujik,
that's the
the
way that,
big park
yeah.
there. And so I remember we were eating in the restaurant, and I said I paid for my drink, but then they didn't give it to me. So then I had asked for it, and she goes, "Oh, it's in the you just go grab it in the cooler." And I was like, "Oh," and then I was
Oh,
looking
they're
around
so
for a
laid back
cooler.
there.
I know, and I couldn't find a cooler, and then I was like, "Where's the cooler?" And she goes, "Oh, in the post office." Because
Yeah.
everything is
Yeah.
just this little tiny place, and everything's just it's all it's all one.
I
The
know.
post
And I
office
miss
is the
that.
restaurant, is the restaurant, is the post office, is the store.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They just
Uh,
didn't have a funeral home on the end of it.
yeah,
You could have done
exactly.
everything in one
Yeah,
block, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It was so cute.
Yeah.
I love areas like that. Scotia Leo, Nova, something that sticks in my head is Zach mentioned Cape Cod. Yeah. The waterways by the Log Church area is the same side and
Right.
not far from Cape George.
Right.
Also very close to Lansdowne. What's
Yeah.
your thoughts? Lansdowne is not anywhere near Cape George. Uh, Yeah, they're not anywhere near each other. Cape George is along that area that I was just talking about. That
Right.
it's all along the shore, and instead of taking the highway from Pictou County to Antigonish County, you go along the shoreline instead.
Mm-hmm.
So Cape George is in between. Uh, Probably closer to the Antigonish side, um, along that it's like it's the Sunrise Trail, and they call it the mini Cape, like the Cape Breton Trail because of the
Right.
scenery and the mountains and cliffs and everything. But they're not near each other at all. Lansdowne is on the furthest side of Pictou County, heading towards Truro, and Cape George is on the furthest other side of the county, closest to Antigonish. So, like they're not
One's more on
really
the PE side, and one's more on the Bay of Fundy side, right?
uh you
Because
did you
Truro, you're going towards Bay of Fundy, and the other one you're going out the Northumberland
towards
Strait.
Cape yeah, you're going
Yeah.
towards like Cape Breton.
Right.
Yeah, because you hit
Mhm.
Antigonish and then Cape Breton. So it's like
I
the
st-
eastern one way you're heading towards the east of Nova Scotia, the other way you're heading towards west of Nova Scotia. Like they're
Right.
really not close. It'd be
Right.
quite a drive. However, the oceans now, the river, the middle river goes into the mouth of that, like the river opens up into a mouth, which
Right.
flows into the ocean. That is all of that ocean that I just said you would be driving along. Like
Yeah,
that's
I
all
thought of
that
that too, but and the
shoreline.
tide sucks in and out there the same as it would down towards Digby and that, right? Do you get the tides go in and out the same
No,
way where
no.
the no?
No,
Okay.
that's just
I
no,
was
no,
curious
not
about
along
that.
that area. I
No,
mean, the tides come in and out, but not like the Fundy.
not like
It's,
the funding. Yeah.
yeah, along that shoreline, it's pretty,
Right, right.
yeah, crashing
I never really
water.
thought that they would find anything in the ocean. I always felt that if they
Yeah.
found something, it was on land, in my opinion. I just don't think there was enough time for Charmaine had made an excellent point about weighting something down but traveling up the river and moving from one area to the other in a boat, if there was a boat at that black house or they had access to a boat that they could have taken the river as their route as opposed to so drive up there with the car, put everything in the boat, so many trips, take it down the river. I'm not sure how deep it is, get out and do what they had to do, and then get back in that boat and come up. Because that black house, there was a pathway with an ATV could go right through there and right up to the other house, in my opinion, right up to the
Okay.
trailer. So, I mean, it is possible when you're saying that, but if the tides don't move the same way, would it take something out?
There
That's why I thought land.
exactly, Scotia Leo. Leo. Yes. Yeah. And that's what I was just saying. The waterway is absolutely yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. Um, yeah, and just as Mary said too, a, a boat, yeah, like that
Yeah.
would, you know, but I mean, we don't. Now, if somebody said to me, "Oh, so and so had a boat, and I seen him pulling it out the night before," and then I'd be like, "Okay,
Well, that's what I wondered,
pretty
whether there was a
obvious."
boat in that barn or there was one of those guys had a boat around there that could have been put in the water somewhere and
Yeah.
and then they could have gone up that because there's no cameras along, you would assume that there would be no
Mhm.
cameras along the water.
I miss my dog doing that, Daphne. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'd be a way to avoid cameras for sure, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it
Cape
really would.
George not out of the realm of possibility if kids were moved there on the Friday. Well, and that's the other thing too, right? We're, allegedly, if speculating, in my opinion, if anything did
Hypothetically.
happen in that way,
Yes.
I did think of that as well. That were they hidden somewhere and then moved, because I still go back to him being pulled over in that vehicle, right? And they're keeping an
Right.
eye on him, obviously.
Right.
Okay, Scotia Leo, thank you if you want to, but I do know along that ocean line and that the Middle River, how it connects and everything. I actually did a whole video on it.
And right
Um,
through from Westville, right? The Middle River goes straight up and out, does it not?
uh, well, it goes through Alma. Goes through Alma. That's where the mouth of it is.
Right.
Where it opens up. In that's pretty much where it ends. Like right in that fishing spot that I had did shown in the video I did. And coincidentally, C. Wood had been there and just on one of the searches and had went down there and took pictures or took a video, and she had sent it to us. So it's all in the video I did. And
Right.
I
I
was
remember that.
showing, yeah, and how that opens up, how that leads into that area of that would be right along that whole shoreline.
Right, right.
Of down Cape, it would go right along the whole beach that
Cape
him
Breton.
and Malaya had walked on, all through Marigamish, all down through Cape George, starting in the area of where the police had gone to check. Oh my God, my brain's getting tired.
Well, out by
Um,
Big Island and that, right? That would be
yeah,
out that way.
that's that whole area. That's that whole shoreline. Yeah.
Right, right.
That's where that river. Oh, yeah.
Opens
That
up.
river goes into that area of the ocean, Middle River. Oh my goodness. Chance Harbor. Remember the police
I
were
know, I
down
was thinking
there?
of that and I couldn't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's where that river, that's where it opens up, right there in
Right.
that
But
harbor.
in your opinion, and I'm just hypothetically here, does the tide in that area, if somebody was to put something in that size, it's going to have a certain weight of stuff on it. It seems like that would take an awful lot of work to do that, to know the weight to weight something down, the tide to take it out without bringing it back into shore.
Yeah.
That's why I kept thinking, in my opinion, the forest or like areas where there was quicksand, because there are some quicksand areas up towards Cape Breton.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was a lion's hull or something that was sinking there the one time.
Like, I've always had a feeling they were in water, but it's just a feeling. Well, and he had in the beginning, he was doing the water thing, and then I think he just kept doing it to be
And I
annoying,
felt
but
by he was doing that to deflect, and I really felt that they were inland.
Denise, I didn't hear anything about them extending the search, but that the search on the 15th is gonna be more so, waterways and rivers and stuff. Uh, out out near Lansdowne, I guess, which would be probably the Middle River and, other waterways out there.
A lot of the fishing guys that go along there, they have to have the GPS systems that would show something if there was something in the water, though.
Scotia, just my feeling, and from adding the tracks from neighbor and camera footage pick up RCMP, I feel children are close. Maybe between Brook Falls down by Sheep Herders Junction.
Hmm.
Cape
It's a
George is
possibility.
about 25 northeast of Antigonish. Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah. Well, guys, we're almost at 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
Well, Ginger, I suggest everyone watch the YouTube video called Inside the Minds of Domestic Abusers and How to Support Women, Lundy Bancroft. You will see D red flags big time. Well, I will watch it. It's probably one of the ones you sent to me, no doubt.
But that other one was excellent.
Lansdowne, New Leg, Alma, then Lochbroom. The water in Lochbroom is the same shoreline on the same. Yes. Yep. 100% sure is.
No, but did they ever find, when there was that horrific storm down there, there was 2 children that were lost? Did they ever find them? When there was a massive flash flooding?
Does
anyone know?
There was 2. There was 2.
There was 2. There was 3 people that were lost, but 2 of them were children. Did they ever find them?
I mean that happened twice.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of the last one where there was...
that is so strange because we never have stuff like that happen, and then for it to happen 2 years in a row, and in years that we haven't had a lot of rain, but then we're getting it all at once and having flash floods like that to the point where people are getting washed away. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't follow up on it.
Yeah, because the
So
last time I was
sad.
down a few years ago in December, when I got down there was snow.
That's
And
right,
as we
roots.
pulled into the driveway, it started to rain. And by, the next morning, it was just water. There was no more snow. So it happens so quick down there where it just changes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? And just from spot to I could leave here right now and drive to Truro, and there could be a big snowstorm in Truro, but here it's, just a little bit of rain. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
happened.
the same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I've always felt land had less risk of getting caught, and that
I
water
do
is
too,
too
Diesel.
unpredictable. Yeah.
Well, I do, and I think I know where I was. There was a lot of places on, like, we'd go out and walk the shoreline on the Bay of Fundy and stuff, and there was always the nets and
Hi,
stuff that would
Neuro.
come up on shore and stuff that were, everything was being washed in from the fishing boats and stuff. So there was a lot of stuff dragging. We'd go looking for sea glass, and we would do that on the other side, which was the when I was in Prince Edward Island. So, and it was the same thing, how the tides would come in and out, and you would just see that bit of the sea glass and stuff come in. I thought, well, these tides are strong enough coming in and out like this that it's unpredictable when you put something in the water where it's going to end up.
That's right.
So if you
Yep.
want predictability, you're going to go with land. And if there were places like that where there's sinkholes, quicksand, muskegs, whichever you'd like to call it down there, those are areas that a body could be put in and sunk. However, because if you're talking about a marsh, decomposition in a marsh is going to at a slower rate than it is if it's not. So anybody who knows anything about a marsh is not going to put a body there. They're going to put a body inland, someplace where they can bury it, and decomposition can happen faster than it would in a marsh, because a marsh, the gases and everything slows things down because of the lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
So then there would be more signs if something was found.
Yep.
So I don't know if they knew that ahead of time, but
I'm going to read Drippy's comment, and then I think we're going to leave it at that because my brain's feeling fried, and I probably have to go eat.
I did that before.
And I was going to say, and you're probably feeling the same way. Drippy, when I think of Malaya, I think of all the self-reflection you need to do in order to break the cycle of toxic relationships.
Well put.
I do think she has some culpability here for not doing that. And I agree.
100%.
I agree. Although
I agree.
I believe there was abuse involved here. The coercive control, like I can see all that. I've seen it for a long time. Yeah. But I've also always said that Malaya too has culpability here,
Absolutely.
because I mean, at the end of the day, the law doesn't care about that, if you know something happened to your children, or you allowed that to happen by being neglectful towards your children. So
right, and so now would be the time to stand up and say something for your children.
That's right.
So that you can break the cycle for the children that are left.
Mm-hmm.
Because those children, in my opinion, if something was to come and arrest, those children, this is going to follow them for the rest of their lives. And they need to think about how their actions are going to reflect on their children. Because as their children grow and say, well, mom got caught or dad got caught, but they didn't take responsibility for it. And look what's happened to our step siblings or our half siblings. That's going to affect those children, and they should be thinking of that, in my opinion.
Exactly. And of course, again, as we said, maybe that is what's going on. And
right.
Once her bulb turned on, because I kind of think that's what happened with her out in the property. Maybe that is what's going on and we don't know, right? And
I
why
hope
she's so
so.
quiet. I do too. I so hope so.
I
Who
would
else
so hope.
thinks? Who else? I lied. I'm going to read a couple more. Who else thinks DM enjoys toying with cops, us, and Loki bragging? 100% he does. Oh, yes.
Well, the
Roots.
funny thing is, he doesn't, excuse me, Nova, he doesn't realize that we all know,
Right.
right? Like,
Right. Well, we're supposed to be like a victim that he feels he has control over, right? Not. Sorry.
yeah,
Roots. One side of Daniel is on the north. One side of Daniel is on the Northumberland Strait. The other side is on the Eastern Shore. One side of Daniel?
inside of Daniel Street, Northumberland Street. I've
Oh,
never,
one side of Daniel is on the Northumberland Street,
yeah,
and the other side is on the Eastern Shore. Okay.
okay,
Mhm. Yeah, the kids that were found after the flood were found quickly. One almost made it to New Brunswick. Aw, she washed up in the
yeah,
Chignecto.
so sad.
What a sin. Yeah, I think it was the flood before that where they had a hard time finding one of the individuals, and they did end up finding that individual. Yeah, sad.
Mhm.
All right, guys, we are going to say goodbye. Lots of
Yes,
love to you all. Lots of positive vibes. Thank you for everyone being here. Thank you to the mods. Thank you very much, Mary, for coming on. I
thank you
really
for
enjoy.
having me. I enjoyed it
Oh,
so much.
yeah,
Yes, and to
I love
everybody in their comments, I love it.
yeah, I love having you on.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a great asset on here, that's for sure.
I just
And
feel like you do that these children need to be brought home. And I see that in
yeah,
everyone's statement on there. And that is just, that's the power of positivity. And if we all put a positive thought forward for those children to be found,
mhm,
and I know some people are going to say they haven't done the right job, but I think the RCMP are doing a good job. I think they are getting there. We
mhm.
just have to allow them to do it.
Yep, I agree. It takes time,
It does.
and what's that old saying? Uh, in order to get the how's that go? Oh my god, I
I
can't
don't
remember
know.
because my brain is just
Slow and steady wins
my
the
brain,
race is
my
the only one I can think of.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I was thinking of the turtle and the hare, right? You don't want to go too quick because
yeah,
you don't want something missed where something can be thrown out. So
yeah.
if it takes them a little bit longer and they're waiting for more forensics or they're waiting for more evidence, we all have to go. They're doing this for Jack and Lily. And
Ex-
we need that done in the right fashion so that
yeah.
we get it.
In order to get the work done right, you got to take your time and go slow. Yeah,
Right, right.
you
And
can't go.
and then, a judge they're gonna definitely have to go before just a judge because a jury, there's too much public knowledge that they could claim that they wouldn't get a fair trial. So before a judge would be, somebody just sitting there listening to the facts and ruling on it that way. So they want the best facts. I get that the Crown is saying we don't have enough yet. We need X, Y, and Z. I get that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Roots saying it was straight, not street. I figured that. My
I
brain
know.
automatically read it as
Well, I
straight.
thought there's no street name. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Bye, everybody. Have a
And
good night.
also thanks to those who became members and to Joyous. Great live. Thank you. I'll catch the rest on the replay. Well, hi to you and thank you, Joyous on the replay. Mary's waving goodbye.
I'm
And
waving
I'll
goodbye.
wave
Yes.
goodbye. I'm going to put Lilly&Jack's picture up
Oh, that's so
uh,
sad.
on the way out.
Yes,
And
justice for Lily and Jack. Let's find them and bring them home.